Oh, yes, indeed. Can you handle the woo, ladies and gentlemen? I hope so, because your favourite woo crew is in the building. Yes, indeed. I'm Kev Baker. If you didn't know that already, I'm sure you all do. We've got Scotty Lopez. I'm sure you all know him. But maybe you're new here. And of course, last but never least, it's the other Kevin. It's Nacy. So yes, indeed, I am ready to rock and roll with another Freaky Friday. We'll be opening up the phones as well later on in the broadcast. So a big shout out to everyone that's tuned in live on tfrlive.com. Remember to tell everyone about the network, because it's not just your paranormal type content. And on a Friday, let me tell you, we take woo to new levels on TFR. Yes, indeed. But we've got all sorts of shows over there. Political, parapolitical. We've got health shows. We've got paranormal. We've got the Kev Baker show, which fits into absolutely no genre whatsoever. And of course, on a Friday, you get 5 hours. Yes, 5 hours of non-stop woo when you tune into Freaky Friday with us. And then just keep on going through the paranormal portal. So with that said, Scotty, are we locked and loaded and ready to roll, man?
Parapolitical. I don't even think I've ever heard of that genre.
Stolen, absolutely plagiarized straight from the mind of Clyde Lewis.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay. I've never dabbled or went down the rabbit hole of parapolitical, but to me, does that sound like the ghosts of politicians?
Well, it's more if you can find a kind of an angle at the politics that takes you away from the kind of the mundane kind of day-to-day goings-ons, and you find something more metaphysical, maybe. Something maybe synchronistic with pastimes or characters or... Listen, I can't even begin to describe the genre. What people need to do, and he's not on our network. We promote good information here. That's what I love about TFR. A lot of cross-pollination. And if you haven't checked out Clyde Lewis, folks, well, you are definitely missing a trick. Definitely one of my favourites. And he takes the parapolitical absolutely to new levels.
Now that I'm thinking about kind of what the genre of that gets into, then it makes a lot more sense, because then you would have to probably consider Everard to also be in that realm.
An absolute yes.
Yeah.
Indeed, I can't even think of a superlative to put on his parapolitical woo. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So that makes a lot of sense of how good that show was that him and Clyde were doing the other week. So I was like, okay.
To listen to that, man. I've still to listen to it. Good call.
Yeah, I got to go back and listen. So
I think tomorrow, you see, I'm going to be going on Twitch tomorrow, and nobody wants to sit and listen to me talking while I'm gaming. But I tell you what, a bit of Clyde Lewis and Everard in the background, we might be able to open some young eyeballs. When they come over there, maybe they'll just click in thinking it's just your average kind of gamer. Then they'll find old man Kev and a bit of parapolitical woo. Yeah.
Yeah, you want to talk about some mind meltage sort of background conversation going on with that. Yeah, it's pretty wild.
Yeah.
So okay, parapolitical.
I reckon somebody that could get a bit parapolitical. I reckon Nacy could hold his own in that genre. Absolutely.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah. How you doing, Nacy?
Oh man, take a look at yourself. I'm a lot like you. Just be careful when you're utilizing your oogly googlies that you don't get caught up in monothepoliticalism and thinking that there is only one almighty political entity to rule them all.
I like that. It's good advice, dude. You see, Freaky Friday, not only top-notch high strangeness, but life advice as well.
Are we becoming the resident gurus of whatever this is that we do?
I like to think that even on Freaky Friday, well, you know, we try to keep it semi-real, right? Semi grounded in reality-ish.
Disclaimer: the views and opinions by the co-host do not attribute, add, or take away from the opinions of anybody else in the audience.
Absolutely. Absolutely. My number one mission is not to tell people what to think. No danger am I going to tell them how the world works when I don't even know how it works. Just to think for themselves. And maybe on occasion, I actually make a point of distracting people from all of the crap that's going on in the world, because I think people need to unplug from it. And that's how Freaky Friday actually got going. You know, it was
Except on Freaky Fridays. Plug
Joe
into Freaky
Joseph.
Fridays,
He was
unplug to the other stuff.
he was an original, an OG of the Freaky Friday, and he was doing his politics kind of stuff through the week. I was doing the Kev Baker show, similar type stuff, but woo as well. And it was an agreement, you know. We just said when it gets to Freaky Friday, we drop all that. We leave it at the door, and we kind of can let our hair down a little bit, get into the stuff that we typically didn't used to talk about. But I tend to talk about it all the time now because it's about the only safe stuff you can talk about. But yeah, that's how we got going. The origin story of Freaky Friday. It's not actually that exciting when you think about it, but hey, it is what it is, right?
Right, when it morphed from the Kev Baker show Monday through Thursday on the network Truth Frequency.
Well, we had
TFRlive.com.
Transatlantic Truth before it was
I was
ever
about
Freaky
to say,
Friday.
yeah. It was known as Transatlantic Truth.
I came up with that. It's absolutely terrible. What a terrible name for a show.
Well, maybe if somebody is willing to call in this evening or whenever it is in your domicile, that if they're willing to, they can ask Nafe say for the blind truth. See how long they can last with that.
No, I like it. I like it. Yes, now usually we go over to our very own, our very new looking Wookiee cave. Dearie me, and Chris Geo's had the painters and decorators in over at the Wookiee cave, and it is looking absolutely lovely. We've got a new chat room over there. Yes, indeed.
The Wookiee cave got an upgrade.
It got pimped out, man. It got pimped out. You can change color. I like it. I do like it. Yes, it's some people are gonna like it. Some people are gonna loathe it. You know what it's like when change happens, right?
Yeah, there are always bitter clingers when it comes to
bitter clingers. I love it, dude. I love it. But yes, I will be
My
heading
powers
over there.
of divination can't guess what the change is going to bring, but I heard through the grapevine that the Wookiee cave now is as parallel as the Oracle's cave of Delphi.
Oof.
So come, open up the lines and bring it on.
And we will be opening up the phone lines later on as well, folks, for all of you to dial in and dial up the woo. I know of one individual who's called into the show before who is going to call in later again. Jules of the Flame. You might remember she was on with Nano Girl, and we were talking all about sci-fi, and in particular the TV show V. Well, woo is coming from Jules later on. So just get ready for that, and I'll give out the phone number as and when. I'll probably give it out after the first break. But we'll probably get an hour or so with us just goofing off, getting into some ghost stories, talking some random woo with the Naysay, the Scotty, and me. And then we're going to turn it over to all of you. Now, we're going to keep it strictly high strangeness, paranormal, woo. If you've got anything else on your mind about the state of the world today, there's plenty of other phone-in shows that will happily deal with that. Because it's Freaky Friday, like I say, we turn our attention towards the things that make you go woo. Yes, those little bumps in the night. Indeedy. So I've got a couple of ghost stories pulled up. Got one we could kick off with in just a moment. And I'm sure Scotty will be digging some up furiously. And Nacy, how have you got anything on your mind to kind of kick us off tonight? Because I know sometimes you've got stuff lined up there in the cranial space, and it's always a good way to start the show.
Well, it's been really interesting the last week and a half since the new moon. I've been really trying to pay attention. And after today's show, I'm doing a parasite cleanse, and we'll see how that happens. And it's interesting because, you know, with our shenanigans that we had here on the Freaky Friday, and I apologize, no visual shenanigans today, but when we reflect upon these possibilities that are there, and if our intentions can assist these possibilities to happen in the whole field of positive, neutral, and negative, the outcome of what we focus on, I think, has such a great potential. But then if that outcome is not in the same realm of the powers that should not be, I ponder, do they go out of their way to try to intersect us or cross us off from bringing about positivity? And so that thought, as I'm reading all of these ancient works, and I've been dipping on Manly P. Palmer Hall, but it's wanting me to almost like take people and shake them and be like, do you know what a miracle you are? Let's prove it. And then it's like, well, do we have to prove it? What do we have to prove? And that's the pondering of naysaying. And so I'm glad Freaky Friday's here, because I'm letting down my hair and just going with the woo and stuff, because trying to save the world is a very heavy job.
Indeed. No doubt. So yeah.
I'm just trying to get us connected to TFR. You boys just talk it out just now. I'm going to message the network. I think the rerun is playing on the background, and we're talking over on TFR, so I'm going to try and get a hold of the boss man over there. Sorry to interrupt you, Scotty.
Oh, no problemo. No, so yeah, we're gonna get into a lot of crazy woo. We'll probably open the phones up later if we can get connected to the network. But nah, it's been interesting. We've had some interesting sort of activity going on around here, and probably next week I'm going to have some more information on some activity that's been going on around my a friend of my little brother, and it appears that they have been having a lot of paranormal activity at their house, and I didn't realize it was to the extent that it was. So when I heard about what they were going through, I was like, oh man. So maybe next week or the week after, I will have my brother's friend probably call into the show and relay this experience that they're having over there, because it involves.
Did we?
Oh, go ahead, man.
Did we forget to close the portal when we pulled out the Ouija board? Maybe we just forgot. Oh, I hate when I forget to shut the door.
Nah, I don't think it has anything to do with the Ouija shenanigans. Because this has
Definitely
been,
not. Definitely not.
No, this has been going on for quite a while, apparently. And so if I can get the lowdown on that whole story, it'll be quite interesting. But just the experiences that my brother has had here over the past month or so is pretty interesting. And we've talked about this, right? And they say how it's just that time of the year You know, it's not just a specific date, you know, like Halloween. It's just this whole general time of the year when we're going through these phases and cycles or whatever. I just think it's that time of the year where things naturally open up. You know, the veil is thinned and people start having more of these experiences. So it's interesting. You know, it seems to kind of start picking up.
It's the time of the season for loving. Because you're right. You know, in the northern hemisphere, we are going into a greater time of darkness. The days are getting shorter, the nights are getting longer. And if we think it's just basic thinking, you know, as silly humans, we get afraid of the night. We get afraid of the dark. And so it just seems that it would just, you know, build from that, you know, and I wouldn't even be surprised if there is, you know, a genetically passed down fear, you know, because how long ago could we still have been living in somewhat caves? Not the Wookiee cave.
DJ Bison donated £2
well, actually,
through
all are
Super
welcome in a
Chat.
Wookiee cave.
Check out the Ragged
But,
Cotton in
you know,
Minshehampton. Woo.
when we pick our caves as a tribe, you know, back when Ugg and Og were like, we see cave there, shelter, you know, so yeah, it's bound to be like, get that fire going, because with the fire, the darkness isn't so scary. And that's the thing about the darkness can be equated to the unknown. And if you don't know the future, it's scary. But you get caught up in on it, you know, and then step back further and look at the full spectrum of it. Is there entities beyond our grasp of reality or normalcy that are going between these portals, these veils, these turning points of the cycles, you know? And that's the excitement. That's why I enjoy life so much, because you don't know. And it's fun learning. I get an enjoyment about filling my brain with more intellect.
Indeed. And then yeah, so we'll definitely be getting into a lot of this stuff. And
I apologize, Scotty. I've put all the burden onto you boys there. I'm trying to get we've got technical issues. When we go live on TFR, we're getting 2 streams running through there. There's a rerun and there's us. So I'm trying to get that fixed, but we're okay. We're still on the tube and the Twitch. So
yeah. There's a glitch in the mothership.
We'll get there, man. We'll get there. You know me, my streaming OCDs. It's not feeling good, Scott. There's a disturbance in the force.
Deja vu.
Yes, indeed. We'll get
Was it the
we'll
same black cat, or was it a different cat?
It was Schrodinger's cat, so it can be any color you want. There you go. Seen a good meme the other day, actually. It was a gravestone with Schrodinger's cat written on it, and then a cat saying, "I'm Schrodinger." Yeah,
would that box be purgatory?
Sorry?
Would the box be purgatory?
I don't know, dude. It's just a thought experiment, so the box technically doesn't even exist. There wasn't even a box. That's the ultimate finisher to the Schrodinger cat confusion.
Schrodinger.
Yeah.
It's like the meme I saw where it said everybody at Schrodinger's funeral, and it shows Gerard from The Witcher, and he's just like, You know, like looking at the grave, like, But
The Witcher.
Yeah,
that was an interesting series.
Yeah, it was very interesting.
Nothing like getting paid to battle demons.
Yeah, it was a book series before they made it into a video game. The Witcher, I believe. And,
I did not know that.
Yeah.
Maybe I
Yep.
should write books or video games.
I've
Jeez.
always toyed with the idea of writing a book, but I honestly think it's going to sound ridiculous, right? But I would start writing a book, and it would have to be sci-fi / Dan Brown type mysteries, right? It would have to be that kind of thing, symbols and weirdness, and. But you know what? I think like halfway through the book, I'd probably forget like where I started, and I'd probably forget where it was originally going in the first place. And by the time I get to the end of the book, I'd be finishing a totally different story than the one I actually started.
Look,
You see what I'm saying?
You see, Kev, this is how writers probably end up writing many different, they end up
Going
writing
crazy.
a series of books and an entire, like saga of stories, because they probably can never figure out how to wrap it up or end the story, so they just keep going and going and going.
The never-ending story.
But hey, I guess that's how you become a prolific writer, right? I mean, you've got to be.
Or you shoot John Lennon and you get thrust into the entertainment world. Stephen King. Allegedly. Sorry.
I've never heard that one, but I'll have to look.
No.
But yeah, but that'll be for another time. That's that sounds interesting.
Just look at Dave Chapman's arrest picture and look at Stephen King's arrest picture when he got caught drunk driving, and look at them side by side. It's pretty, yeah. That was a good little rabbit hole I went down. I've been everywhere, man. I've been everywhere. So, Kev, you want to bring us some stories?
I'm speaking with the network right now, dude. We've got a couple of minutes before the break, but when we come back, I've got a story that's entitled "Something is Behind the Bookshelf Behind My Bed." Sinister.
The secret door. When he gets to that select book, when he pulls it out, next thing you know, the door clicks. And just a little shove and it slides all the way. Another portal has been opened. Do you step through? Would you, Kev, if you went to your room, one of your rooms right now, and all of a sudden the painting like swung open and it was like a portal, would you crawl through? Scotty, how about you?
I would. I'd be right through it. There's actually, I was looking at a movie the other night. I didn't watch it, but it's called Parallel. And I think the premise is you see a group of people walking into a house and there's this mirror. Guy goes to look at himself in the mirror, as you do when you're a vain kind of guy. I should know. But he goes to lean on the mirror and he notices his hand goes through it. And I'm not giving away any spoilers here. This is just the trailer it shows you. And then what happens then, it shows you that when there's another one, he's got the balls on and he goes right through the mirror. And he walks out into this garden where he sees himself and the same people he's with in the other world. So it's definitely got potential. It's on my to-watch list,
The first story that I remember writing in English in school, in elementary school, I wrote a story about this man who found a time-traveling mirror in his uncle's attic. And he went through it, and it transported him back into dinosaur time. And he went off a cliff, and there were vines that caught him. And he was lucky enough to land on like a shelf on the cliff's wall, but he couldn't get up. But all he had in his pocket was his journal. And so he's writing down all of these things that happened to him. And then that's how the book ends, is that he's starving to death on this ledge, leaving this journal, hoping that it'll be found in the future.
That sounds good.
But mirrors. Neo, he put his hand on the mirror. The mirror, I think there's more to meets the eye, pun intended, about mirrors. and using
Yeah,
them as portals.
absolutely. And of course, you've got the whole scrying. I know you can do that with any reflective surface, right? But that seems to be a powerful tool of divination if the practitioner knows what they're doing. I'm sure if I was to stare into a puddle of water or a pool of water like Nostradamus, all I'm going to see staring back is me. Do you know what I'm saying?
You look into your reflection, Kev, and be like, "Hello, Dave.
Yeah,
How are
yeah.
you doing?"
Yeah. Indeed, man. The thing is, now that you see that we've got the problem here now. The problem here now is if we can't get hooked up with a network, and I'm working with a network right now. I know, multitasking. They say men can't do it. Shh. Toxic Kev got it covered, man. But it means we won't be able to open up the phone lines this week.
That's
And that's okay, because
whatever.
you take everything in your stride. You got to think to yourself, well, the universe has got something else planned, and we roll with the punches. So we're coming up on the first break now, right? I'm going to play a little bit of music, and then we'll try the network after the break, and then that way we'll know if we're going to be any closer to getting onto... Not that it's going to change anything for you people here on Twitch or on YouTube right now. Over 100 on YouTube. Hit share, folks. Let's get some really good numbers over here tonight. But yeah, we'll try and do that. A little bit of music, a little bit of the Cemetery Clown, Scott's favourite tune. Yes. How did you remember the name of this, dude?
Because the track, it hits a weird nerve with me. It's oddly disturbing, and so it makes me
Oddly disturbing. I like that. That should be what it's just. That describes it perfectly. Oddly disturbing.
Freaky Friday with the Woo Crew.
Yes, indeedy. We're back. We are live, and a big, warm welcome to everyone out there on TFRlive.com. Now, TFR has got the webcam on for some reason. I'm not quite too sure what's going on there. I'll let the network know. But yes, we are connected now. We are connected. The TFR webcam is on. Okay. Thank you to everyone over there at TFRlive.com behind the scenes for helping us out with that. Yes, indeed. We can see a little bit of the TFR. That's TFR HQ there. There we go. We'll get that way. There we go. Now we get Scotty back. There we go. Just to sort out my, I've got my streaming OCD, Scott, right?
Yeah, yes, indeed.
There we go. That's about as good as we're getting it right now. Yeah. Awesome. Thank you to Lucky.
That looks fabulous.
It does look fabulous. A big thank you to Lucky. Mr. Geo's turned the camera off. Mr. Geo, I think Mr. Geo's just playing with my streaming OCD. I think he is. I think Harbinder's at the controls. Yes, indeed. Some people won't even know what I'm talking about there, but I do. So listen. Second segment of Freaky Friday. So glad we are going out to the wider audience now. I want to thank all of you for tuning in. And really, we were just kind of talking back and forth, or sorry, Scott and Nacy were talking back and forth during the first segment. But we are good to go now. It just doesn't feel right. I love YouTube and everything. And there's a YouTube side of me, obviously. That's where I came from originally. But when it comes to Freaky Friday is a TFR vibe. You know what I mean, Scotty, right?
Yeah.
It's like...
Yeah.
It just... I don't know, dude. It just doesn't feel right.
You got the Wookiee cave. You got a lot of the hardcore old schoolers
It's the
that have
home of Freaky Friday, you know?
Yeah, and they have been the hardcore sort of the determined group of Wookiees that they are. So you gotta hold true, man. You're right. It's a definitely a TFR vibe that's going on with the whole Freaky Friday thing. So
absolutely,
yeah,
dude. So
cool.
I've got a little story to kick us off here.
All right.
A little drink. Something is behind the bookshelf, behind my bed. Now we're reading this for the first time together, folks. We truly are. I've got my finger hovering over the censor button because I seen one sweary word in it when I was scrolling down earlier on. But I think this is a good way to get us all kicking off for the freaky vibe we're after today. Because at some point during the show, we're going to turn on the phones. And we want you to phone up with your woo, your high strangeness, your paranormal activity that you've either experienced or you know somebody that's experienced, or maybe it's a location where you live. DJ Bison, he chipped in earlier on and he said, check out Ragged Cot Inn in Minchin, Hampton. Okay, we'll check that at some point. I've got a note of that there on the screen. We can take a look at that. But let's get into this little story here. I think this will definitely get us in the mood. This will turn up the woo factor. So it says, I've never talked about my personal experiences before, especially ones like this. Please bear with me if things aren't explained. Well, I guess. It happened, I think, about a month ago. Ants were infesting my room, coming from a specific wall that led to the outside. So, because of this, I rearranged my room in a strange fashion. But it worked for me, and it was only supposed to be temporary. My room is large and wooden. It sits on a second story, but only 2 walls leading to the outside. Originally, my bed was facing outwards, below a window. But, as I said prior, I moved it because of the ants. Its new position is in the exact middle of the room. I know it's kind of unorthodox. I could have just moved it to one of the other walls that don't go to the outside, but I was afraid of them coming through there too, somehow. And I became a little bit paranoid, even though there wasn't a need for it, but hey, whatever. So my bed now sits in the middle of the room, with my bookcase right behind it. And this bookcase, or some of you may refer to it as a cubicle, is loosely filled with books, knickknacks, and other things. But you can see through it to the other side from both sides. And there is where the issue lies. I honestly didn't think too much of it. It didn't seem like a problem to me at first when I first put it there. I could never have expected what happened. The first night was fine. I slept well. But as the nights started to go, I got less and less sleep. This affected my days and made it really hard to do simple tasks and chores and homework. It's not like something specific was keeping me up. I just couldn't sleep. I was tossing and turning all night long, and it was miserable. And after exactly 9 nights, on the 10th night was when it first happened. I'd been tossing and turning like I normally did, and it was probably somewhere around 4 a.m. at the time, determining by the hand on the clock that I could barely see from my bed. It was near pitch black in my room, no night lights or anything, because I wouldn't normally have been afraid of the dark. I heard was it a shuffling sound from behind my bed? Like something was moving my books very, very slowly and very, very silently. At this point, my eyes shot open, and you know the feeling of absolute terror when you think you hear something, when nothing is supposed to be making any noise? Well, that's exactly what happened. I could feel every strand of hair sticking up on my body. Because no one else was in my room. We didn't have rats or mice, and I definitely didn't let one of the animals in here. For the first few seconds, I dare not move. I was terrified, but I thought that maybe I was hearing things. It was 4 a.m. after all, and no sleep can sometimes make you hear or see things. At least that's what I thought in the moment. I did not know how sound that logic was, but I was praying it was right. It didn't stop, but I didn't move. Not until it had made at least 2 minutes of something moving things around. My breathing was starting to make too much noise, and while I let out a winded, shaky breath, the something just stopped. I immediately shot my head up, my entire body in fight or flight mode. I bolted to my door, opened, and booked it right out of the room. I didn't hear or see anything on my way out, and I didn't want to. I woke my mum and told her about it. She reminded me of the time in our old house, how I would hear a clicking sound sometimes at night. I tried to tell her that this was nothing like that, but she didn't believe me. I mean, I don't believe in ghosts personally, but I had no idea what else this could have been. Even though my mum let me sleep beside her, I wonder how old this individual is, maybe best not knowing, I didn't get much sleep that night. I was just staring into space next to my bed. I was sweating so badly that my hair was actually drenched. I'd never experienced anything as terrifying as this before. So it was something unbelievable. The next night, I didn't turn my light off. It gave a bit of comfort, but I kept on checking behind the bookshelf just to make sure that nothing was there. And I definitely couldn't get any sleep. I was sweating again, and in hindsight, I probably should have just stayed in my mum's room or pulled an all-nighter. But by that time, I had kind of figured my brain might be playing tricks on me. It was just also too unrealistic. But then it happened again. And this time, it was worse, and I didn't think it could get any worse. I swear I was just at the point of falling off to sleep And I could feel myself becoming that kind of weird delusional way that you get before you sleep, where you just think of jumbled up stuff. Hey, maybe it's just me. Nah, it's not just you. My eyes kept shutting and I felt really, really weak until the light went off. Well, in a instant, my entire mind was on fire and I was fully awake. Before I could even get up, I heard the shuffling start again. This time, a bit faster and a bit louder. The movements, quicker. I didn't wait to listen any further, though. I was on my feet, taking a single glimpse to the bookshelf. I saw something that will never leave my mind. Behind the bookshelf was something hunched over. I saw a hand that was discoloured, with long claws on the side of the bookshelf. I couldn't make out a face, or even if there was one, but I think it was human, and it was no but it didn't look human, and it was like no creature I had ever seen. Needless to say, I got the out of there, and my body was filled with so much adrenaline, I almost stumbled over my own feet while running out of the room. I screamed to my mum as I ran down the stairs, and I told her what it was I had seen, and I didn't want to go and check again. But I didn't want her to go on her own either. So together, we got kitchen knives and flashlights. I still mostly stuck behind her. When we got back to the room, the door was closed, and I could see the light on the inside. When we entered, nothing was there. Nothing in the room had been touched, nothing changed, no books moved, no knick-knacks shifted from their usual spots, and more importantly, no creature. Even the lights were back on, door closed, like I'd never even left the room. But I know what I saw. My brain wasn't playing tricks on me, and this was all too real. I never slept in that room again, and I absolutely refuse to go back in, even during the daytime, without somebody right there next to me. After a few sleepless nights in my mum's room, we ended up moving out. And so far, in my new home, everything is perfectly fine. I don't know what that was back there. I don't know why it came there suddenly after I moved the bed, but there was certainly something going on, and I will never forget it. You know, that sounds to me, if we can take the story at face value, obviously, that they definitely experienced something, right? Because I've often said, you know, when things get really hairy and scary and wow out there, like, why even stay? Just get out. If it's that terrifying, I'd be off ski. That's exactly what this individual said they did. Gone out of there, right? So I like that one. I liked it.
Yeah, they were like, nope, we're gone.
No more.
I mean, when you see an entity hunched over your bookshelf with claws,
true enough, that would do it for me, dude.
Yeah, I think that's a sign of probably you don't want to be interacting with that thing too much.
Absolutely not. Nacy, what do you make of that one, man? The kind of discolored, non-human entity.
Or a bad witch?
Do you think it was a witch?
Well, it would be that whole question. You know, of course, understandable, the fight or flight scenario. But you take that hesitation and, you know, depending on what you experience, and from your experience, you're going to be like, hey, I don't trust this thing, so I'm out of here. I think I would be one of those people that would hesitate, you know, and likely be the first one to get munched on. But, you know, but there's this, we inertly have a desire just to be scared. The unknown is exhilarating. And some people like that little dopamine squirt that they get from that fear of flight scenario. So
yeah, as much as I talk about it, I'll be perfectly honest with you, I'd have been running the other way. I mean, like, confronted with that face to face, Funny sitting here talking about them on YouTube and on TFR and things like that, right? That's one thing altogether. But when, like, for example, would I go back to Boleskine House and feel that feeling again? Oh, heck no. So I know for a fact if I was to see a discoloured hand hanging off something that I believed wasn't human, I'd be out of there faster than you could say woo. Yeah. I'd be like hot woo off a shovel, Scotty. Straight out the door.
Exactly. And so, no, that's a wild story there, you know, and it makes you wonder. It makes you wonder, man.
Well, let me ask you this then, Scotty and Nacy.
Yeah.
I'll come to you first, though, Scott, because it's kind of relevant to you and the story you were telling us before the show. Do you think perhaps maybe an individual like we were talking about in the story here, or somebody that has their first encounter with something, yeah, sure, we could look at it as the house is haunted, but could we also look at it as being a first act of clairvoyancy, or the person's sixth sense coming to the surface and the start of something that might not really be put off if you move house, because maybe you've just developed a technique to see things that are always there that not everyone sees?
It's a very interesting question, you know, and that also that throws this whole kind of different dynamic into the possibility of, you know, when you're talking about hauntings, because then you have to start wondering, okay, well, is the place haunted, or is the person experiencing these things just opened up to paranormal activity in general? And like, say they go to a different location, right? So you have like these clairvoyants, or these, you know, these people that say or claim to have the ability, and I believe there are individuals that do have the ability to see beyond the veil, right? You know, speak to the undead or see the undead or whatever. So how much is it the individual just being open up to that experience, you know, to that sort of stuff, and just experiencing it wherever they go, as opposed to, you know, the place being, because then, you know, you can be in a place, and if a person's not opened up to that kind of activity, they're never going to experience it. So it is interesting, you know, to think about it in that way. And if a person is just opened up to that, and we talk about these entities that supposedly attach themselves to an individual, is it really an entity that's attached to an individual, or is that individual just opened up wherever they go, and they might just be experiencing the paranormal activity at the location that they're at, and maybe think that they're being, you know, followed by an entity or have an entity attached to them? It's just that they happen to just be open to it, like,
Because I think
tuned in
these things are all around us,
24/7.
dude. I think they're everywhere.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I do too. Yeah, it just, do you have the ability to see them, or, you know, if you're experiencing this activity, there's obviously a reason. Something is allowing you to see these things that, you know, aren't in the visible spectrum, you know, fully within our dimension or our realm.
Or our domicile, as our good friend Nacy would say. What say you, Nacy? That the talking stick has gone to you, brother.
Going from what we're discussing in my experience, there is things that I can't explain. I can't say I've experienced many actual visual entities. You know, as far as like, I've seen forms that looked humanoid, but not having like shape to them. I've seen like shimmers, and the only way I can, the Predator, the movie The Predator, when he would jump from tree to tree, and it kind of like, it showed him being there, but you couldn't really see him, but you could see like the shiver happening in front of, you know, the stuff in the background, so you can kind of tell where he is. I've seen things like that, you know. So from those experiences of my own, I validate something beyond my knowing. And then because of just being involved with Truth Frequency Network and with KBS and Discord and other people out there, you hear these other experiences of what other people have, you know. And of course, me being as cynical as I am, you know, I can easily believe the experience somebody shared with me, but knowing if it is our collective truth, then I have some, you know, I have more questions. And there are some entities that you can question and they're willing to just share, you know, but there's other entities, the minute you start questioning them, then they get all defensive and everything. And then it, you know, so it's hard. It's hard to have discernment of trying to find this truth, you know, because I can only share from my experience as everybody else shares from their experience. But the other challenges on it is I have met people that have lied to me about their experiences and embellished these experience, you know, for whatever reasons. More times than not, it's just to be, you know, some people want attention, some people wanted to be accepted, you know, so they do this. My question I ask myself, why do I seemingly meet entities more so that upon first meeting them, next thing you know, these stories are being shared with me? You know, so like, you know, for just a quick example, it's like me and Scotty meet for the first time. And it's like, hey, Scotty, how you doing? Small talk, you know, and then all of a sudden Scotty's like, you know, the other day my brother saw a ghost. That's my experience. You know, all of a sudden people talk about the paranormal or the supernatural or the metaphysical stuff. And I don't know if there's like a assumption, of course, you know, that there's maybe a resonance or a frequency that, and I even feel weird saying it, that sometimes can have this extra feeling, thought, belief, you know, that maybe we resonate, excuse me, that we resonate near the same frequency. And so we feel comfortable with each other to share such things, you know. But
well, yeah, you know, we're all sort of kind of gathered in our shared experiences of the weirdness, you know, and the woo. And even though I personally don't experience very much of it on my own, you know, it's like Nace said, there's people around me and whatnot that are having these experiences and all of that. So it's interesting to you know, be able to at least have some sort of firsthand knowledge, you know, at least people that are directly, you know, that you know directly that can share these experiences and tell you about this stuff. So yeah, you know, when we get back from break, I will talk about the latest experience that my brother has had and some data points that may correlate to another experience that occurred earlier that I shared before. So I think it'll make for some
Well, we had somebody in the
conversation.
chat room. Josie was sharing a story about a shadow man experience that he had with a friend, and that took me right back to the whole shadow I seen in the toilet here. And yeah, the whole shadow out the corner of the eye, the shadow man. That, I mean, like Nase says as well, though, it's not that I'm naive. Some people make up stories. And I'm not saying you, Josie, didn't mean it like that, but sometimes it's hard to discern what's right and what's wrong. But I know I experienced something, and it's my personal truth. And whether people believe it or not, I know that that was something definitely out of place. Definitely.
Well, that's one thing.
On you go,
You
dude.
know,
We're on a break,
we've
though. We're on a
talked about
break,
that.
dude. I've just noticed. Hold that thought. Hold that thought, man. Keep your woo on the fire, folks. 1 hour down, 2 hours to go. But remember, Paranormal Portal is on right after that. So we'll be back after these short messages. Don't go anywhere. There we go. There we go. I think that says fixed now. But I'll shove on some tunes, folks, so I can get a little drink of coffee. And I'll put on different tunes this time. Don't panic. Don't panic. We'll get something new for y'all. Hang on. We've got a Skype hiss in the background as well. I don't know what's going on. Give me 2 secs, folks. Let's see. Where's the freaky tunes? There they are. That one will do.
November 12th. Can you handle the woe?
Here we go. Part 2. Or hour number 2, should I say?
Is it deja vu? Is it you? Can I come through and kick it with you? Can we woo woo woo? Snip a little ooh ooh.
Okay.
Don't really matter because you're still my boo boo. We can slide out.
Okay, we'll go back there in a second because we'll probably get copyrighted for that one. Give me a second. I will need to talk to the network again. Here we go, folks. Here we go. There we go. Take 2. Deja vu. It's deja vu this week on Freaky Friday. Yes, indeedy, but it's going good so far. We've had the entity behind the bookshelf. We've had the Shadow Men and Kevin Green in the chat room. Says, Kev, you saw the shadow form in your bathroom 2 or 3 days after you'd said something very disparaging about Booga Booga Alistair Crowley on a show. I would urge caution in those matters. Wishing you well, Kev. And another Kev to another Kev, wishing you well, brother. But it's worse than that. The only reason I was talking about Alistair Crowley in the first place was because idiot Kev here, talking about me, foolish Kev, decided, it's probably one of the most haunted places in Scotland. Nothing will happen if you go there and start calling out Alistair Crowley. Come on then, give us your best. Never a good idea, Scott, right? Never a good idea. So yes, I suspect I've certainly linked the two Kevin to Kevin in chat. Now I'm really getting confused. We've got Kevin in chat. We've got Kevin here doing his dude. This whispering thing. I don't even know if it's you. It might actually be an entity. We don't know if it's Nacy, right? He's never said it's him. It's just a different voice that comes on.
I don't even know if it's me.
Oh my goodness. You see, little did we know we have got an ethereal being here with us on the panel. Yes, indeed. But no, Kevin out there in Chatland, you're absolutely right, dude. He who laughs last laughs longest. It's he who goes messing with things that doesn't know what he should be messing with and things like that and doesn't know how to handle it shouldn't be messing with those things. So yes, I totally agree with you, man. But I've got garlic all around the house. I've got an ultraviolet light at the door. Got about 10 crosses on. I'm protected now, man. I'm joking, obviously, but prepared for it, Scott. I don't think anyone can prepare you for that, right?
No.
Whether it's my shadow man or the dude with the bookcase or anything, Kevin or any of the chatters out there.
My kung fu is good.
Kung Wu. Kung Wu beats Kung Fu every time. I'm a black belt in Kung Wu. There you go. There you go. And Kev says, I know you went there, Kev. Did you become ill about the same time? Well, about 6 months later, I went from being a very healthy individual to having a double heart attack and been diagnosed with very, very severe COPD. Hey, you make of that what you will, you know? The conversation has been had many's a time. Could anyone prove that? No. Does that mean I totally rule it out? Absolutely not. But at the same time, I just look forward. I keep going. You learn from your mistakes, you know?
Let's just say it's a hell of a coincidence that makes a very, very nice topic for conversation.
And as a man, and I think I speak for you both here, I think all three of us would say coinky dinkies don't really happen. Right?
We've always been a little skeptical of the old coinky dinks. So
yeah. My good friend Travis Short, he's had a very similar experience to me. Haunted location. Came back with a whole lot more than he went there with. And he shared on the show with me, Warrior Mode. He was on KBS Extra as well. How, this definitely was something that affected him. Personal life, health-wise. Many people have got that story to tell. Again, like Nacy says, though, and you've got to keep your mind open because, like I say, there's no way of proving that. I mean, I hadn't been to a doctor in about 20 years either. Wasn't living right, wasn't living healthy. Smoking about 40 tabs and joints a day. That was a heart attack waiting to happen, really. So, I mean, either or, it all works. It is what it is.
Right.
And I
right.
was
So,
exaggerating. I was never on 40 a day. Dang, dude, that would have killed me. Dang, man.
Whoop.
Would have been like a chimney, right?
yeah, it probably wouldn't have been very.
Exactly.
It
It
wouldn't
was
have
a
been very
mixture
good.
of tobacco and the good stuff. The good stuff. Yes, indeed.
Mm.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, I guess I will go ahead and get into the latest experience that my brother has had over here. I got to talk to him a little bit more and get a little more detail about exactly
You have a
what
big
he
smile
saw.
on your face. Can I surmise it's half smiling, half nervous smile as well? Because this is woo around you, dude. You know?
Hey, as long as I'm not experiencing it, I'm just a spectator in this whole show.
But to give
now
it
what if I
context as well, Scott, I mean, you've come on here, you've shown a photograph that for me, it's one of the most compelling photographs we've looked at on the show. So there has been activity in and around you, the house, the family. Not a one-off.
No, it's definitely not a one-off, and the crazy thing is it's not just my family. I mean, there's been, friends of mine, friends of my brother, that have seen and experienced things around here. So it's not just contained within my family of people that have had experiences. It's just obviously I'm not very open to whatever this is. I'm not able to see it or really experience it because I haven't really had any experiences in this house personally. But my brother, the second oldest of us, yeah, he's been experiencing these shadow people, shadow entities, like orbs of light, like sprites or whatever, kind of zipping around in his room or whatever. But most of the activity seems to be focused in our kitchen. So, anyways, this latest experience he had, he was in the kitchen, and he was at the sink. I think he was like, he just grabbed something to snack on. He was like washing his dishes or whatever, and we have a window that's right above the sink. And he looked up, and in the upper left-hand corner of the window, there was a face, like, in the window. And it wasn't looking like directly in the window. It was kind of to the side, like almost a profile view, but not all the way. And it was like a pale gray face with like black, dark eyes, and no mouth where a mouth should have been. Obviously it startled him, and he freaked out, like, whoa, what the hell, but here's the thing, Kev. For there to be a face in that part of the window, because he's looking outside, right? And mind you, it was already dark outside. It was already nighttime. And this window looks into our backyard. For there to be a face located in that upper left-hand part of the window, whatever it was would have to be at least 9 foot tall if it was standing on the ground outside in front of that window for a face to be up there. So,
well, if he ever writes the book, I've got a brilliant title. Behold, a pale face.
Oh,
It could be the follow-up to Behold the Pale Horse. You see where I'm coming from? You get
yeah. So,
well, this might not be connected. It's not, but it's similar. And I've seen one of the investigations that Bill Bean's done, and it's a couple of guests I've had on KBS as well, Chris and Anita Incenzo, and their basement was very haunted, and there was the strangest of what appeared to be reflections in a piece of sheet metal, and it was like a formless, and again because of the color, a formless pale grey face type thing. And when you were talking, as you were telling the audience, that's the first thing my mind went to. First thing I thought of, man.
interesting.
Yeah. But you've seen the disembodied, well, the leg. I mean, there might be new people. Tell people about that, because that's another strange thing that was seen at your house.
Yeah, and I'll have to see my younger brother still has the photos, because I don't have them anymore.
I would have deleted them, dude. Sorry.
Yeah, it's my youngest brother, he was laying on the couch in the living room, and he took a picture for Snapchat. And this was a couple years ago, I believe, right? Yeah, it probably was what, like about 2 years ago, something like that, Kev. Took a picture for Snapchat, and when he sent the picture through to his friend was like, "Hey, dude, who's behind you?" And he was like, "What?" He was like, "Well, somebody is behind you." And he looked at the photo again, and where he was laying on the couch, the kitchen area is behind him, and you could see by the island that we have in the middle of the kitchen, what appeared to be a pair of legs standing there, of obviously a woman, a female, because it looked like she was wearing like a gown or something. It was weird. Kev's seen the photo, and
absolutely,
it's undeniable.
Yeah, it's not like one of these. For me, anyway, it didn't look like some kind of trick, optical illusion. It wasn't anything like that. It's not pareidolia. This was what it looked like. It was a leg.
Yeah, and my brother was the only one awake. My mom was asleep, because he snapped that photo. It was like,
yeah, it was a selfie,
2 in the
right?
morning, something. Yeah, it was just a selfie he was taking for Snapchat.
As you do when you're a young whippersnapper,
Yeah. That's why his friend to me, he's like, "Dude, who's behind you?" Because
it's like something that's happening in a horror movie, isn't it?
I know, right? So I mean, my younger brother has had some experiences here, as well, and my mom has said that she's been she saw something in the kitchen area. She's felt like something touch her arm or whatever, when she's laying down. But this latest thing, though, when my brother described the face he saw in the window, it made me think about when my youngest brother's friend was backing out of the driveway. Remember, he saw.
Because they were in quite close proximity time-wise, weren't they? Wasn't too far apart, because that was a while ago as well when that happened, right?
Yeah, when his friend was backing out of the driveway, and that was around the time that my youngest brother saw the legs in the kitchen. It was all around that kind of time, right? But from what was described of, what my brother TJ saw in the window, it made me think about what my brother's friend described when he backed out of the driveway. And he said the face was the same thing, like a pale face, dark eyes, kind of like a formless mouth, you know, like no mouth where a mouth should be. It was almost the same description. So it makes me wonder if this is the same entity, right? Whatever this is around here, if this is the form it takes or whatever. And this seems to be one that is experienced probably outside, right? Because my brother seen it outside the window. You know, this wasn't like inside. And then my brother's friend drove through it outside, you know, in the driveway. So maybe there's a separate entity that's outside, and then there's one that's inside. Who knows?
Well, let's see. Let's get the naysay. Come on, naysay. If that was you, if you were down there with Scotty close by, what would you recommend? Would you come round there? Would you see if there's a portal open there? What do you make of it all, man?
Well, the first thing I would do is I would hold Scotty's hand through the whole ordeal. And then that way we can pass the PPP back and forth and just be like, whoa, is it this Afghani Kush or am I seeing right now? But I've come up for the name of it. I'm calling it the discombobulator.
Oh, nice.
I do. Okay. I like it.
The discombobulator. That is the technological advancement of these entities that through their algorithms or their AI, they're able to read your mind and go through your experiences to detect what would be the most comfortable thing for you to accept what you're seeing, whether it be a leprechaun, a unicorn, a fairy, scary, weird noises in the background that might sound like a tea kettle, just different things like that. So you're comfortable and you don't pop, because, mental health is no joke. And
that's an important note as well, though, Nacy. It is important because, mental health comes into this too.
Yes.
Because sometimes, yeah. And again, dude, not aimed at your family, nothing like that.
No.
Photograph isn't mental health,
aiming
right?
It at me.
Yeah, no, not aiming it at anyone, but in general terms, And I dare say, over the years, especially way back in the day, I would imagine some people that have clairvoyancy, some mediumship, probably got diagnosed as being paranoid schizophrenic. Probably got locked up for it,
Yeah, but it makes you wonder how many of these people that are institutionalized actually have this gift of being able to see beyond the veil. Yes. It's just something that their brain can't process. Yeah. It's too much for them to handle. So,
when I, through my experience, when I was a cosmetologist, and I could no longer cut hair because of my disability. And so I got vocational rehabilitation from the VA. So I had to go back to college after, 8-9 years, and I had to get my general's or my associate's degree. So I had to take abnormal psychology. And of course, because I am that I am, I'm like, okay, so where did psychology come from? Where did the psychiatric industry come from? So I started researching it. And because of my fondness of the bizarre, the weird, the paranormal, I had my ideas of ghosts and goblins and Bigfoot and yada, yada. Sorry, I didn't mean to say yada, yada, blah, blah. And I saw this parallel of, I think it was called the DMSV-4 at the time. This is like the book of diagnoses for mental disorders. And I saw this parallel of people witnessing the supernatural, is kind of what they're saying the symptoms are to this stuff of, manic or bipolar or schizophrenia, or, where people are seeing things or hearing things or feeling things. Because if we look at the full spectrum of the brain, the full spectrum is where some people have a heightened awareness and some people have a lower awareness. And then on top of it, you put in the whole machination of how the brain works. If you get too much heavy metals, that same potential can happen. It can disrupt the brain working properly, or possibly it could heighten the brain to be able to experience this more. So who knows? Maybe you having, the 20 millionth Kit Kat of your life, you're going to get that one additive preservative that's going to tweak your brain just enough to where you're going to be like, I see dead people.
You mentioned bipolar there. I don't think there's anything wrong with being bipolar. The planet is bipolar, right? Got a north and a south. You're thinking on a planetary level when you're bipolar. There you go.
Well, this is the thing is, you are going to be the labels you solidify. And
so
if
the moral to that story is don't go solidifying your labels.
Exactly.
There you go.
And it's frustrating, because when I was in abnormal psych, my professor at the time, he did a speech on Ritalin. And ironically enough, in my speech class, I just did a speech on Ritalin and the adverse reactions to Ritalin and how it's being overprescribed. And when he gave all of his jargon about Ritalin, he was definitely pro Ritalin. And I raised my hand, and because of my speech, I had all of my ducks in a row, and I, opened my mouth and more or less shot him down with what he was just saying. And his response to me was, did you say you did a speech on Ritalin or about Ritalin? And then the class laughs.
No, he was just rattling. That's what it was. He was just rattling. But Jennifer in the chat room here, get this one, Nacy, says, my sister always had the gift of sight. But a new church she began attending said she was possessed by the Ooga Booga demons. She finally left, and she's so traumatized that she doesn't want to open that flow again. Sad.
Exactly.
It's a dodgy one, though, right? It's a dodgy one, though, because when you do open yourself up to these things, you don't really know what you're opening yourself up to, right? As true a gift as that is, I mean, you don't know. Plus, you've got the
Some
tricks.
people look at that as a curse.
Absolutely, dude. Absolutely. And I would imagine if you do have that gift, and I don't even know how it plays out, but if there's entities talking to you all the time or annoying you, I mean, you probably don't get any time to yourself, right?
Well, this is just before the break. You just reminded me. That's where I was going with this, because there is a lot of courage that needs to occur for somebody willing to come out openly and say, hey, I can hear dead people, or I see dead people, or I'm gifted in the other senses that occur. That takes a lot of courage, because the cliche, one bad apple is going to spoil the whole bunch, and that's the whole spectrum of it all. Like we say, being critical about it. There's going to be the positivity of it and the negativity of it, but we have to be critical about it and not get blinded by our own perception, which isn't easy.
No, you're right there.
Indeed.
You're right there. It's a murky old world. Somebody in the chat was asking about, man, for me anyway, one of the weirdest locations we've ever looked at. Carmel, Maine. Remember that place? I'm going to have to dig in there. I'm going to have to do some research. I've not been watching. Yeah, we'll bring you an update on that one definitely next week.
Yeah, in fact, it's very synchronistic, right? Because I was just talking with my mother about Carmel, Maine, and all of that just, I think, yesterday or the day before, about how crazy that. Well, yeah, because we were discussing, the stuff that my brother's friend has been experiencing over at their place and all of that. And it makes me think of Shadow Dude, man.
You're going to be the
kind
next
of on
Carmel, Maine guy. You're going to film something flying out the window, dude.
Maybe. From the activity that I've heard described, it's Carmel, Maine level kind of activity. So, we're definitely going to have to figure out what's going on there.
Well,
but
when we come back from the break,
Parma.
I'm gonna. I don't know all of the details because I haven't really spoken to the people firsthand. However, I've got a little bit of an update coming to you about. Well, we mentioned it earlier. Boleskine House, yes, indeed.
Ooh.
Very interesting. Very, very
Okay.
interesting. In fact, so that's to look forward to after the break. I'm sure we'll have another whole wealth of
And
stuff to
remind
get
me-
into.
Remind me about Louisiana Gal.
No problem. And I have got the woo dug up on the Ragged Cot Inn in Gloucestershire. Now, I think I'm going to have to hang up on all of us again, boys. I think that thing's happened again. So we'll be back in a minute, folks. Don't go anywhere. Now, don't forget, we have got another YouTube channel here over on Kev Baker Show live streaming. I will drop a link into the chat room in a moment, but we will be streaming live on Sunday. Well, I say we, it's Kev and Dave. We'll be streaming live on Sunday, and we'll be doing a longer form stream. We'll probably take a little look at what's been going on at Carmel, Maine. We'll also be taking a look at our favourite tall white alien, Rudolph. Yes, indeed, things have gone off the deep end with Rudolph. And yes, a lot more fun, but check out KBS live streaming, and I will set up the link probably during this show, and it'll be a 7 p.m, 7:30 p.m. in the UK start. So that's to look forward to, folks. We'll be back in just a moment with more from Freaky Friday. We are halfway through this week's Freaky Friday, But don't remember, coming up right after this on TFRlive.com, we have got our good friend Brent Thomas and his sidekick, Don Longbeard. Yes, indeed. And they will take you through.
Money maker than the film we sell to you. We write it, we film it.
Yes, they will take you through. They will take you through the paranormal portal. Yes, indeed. So let me see if I can get rid of that. There we go. We'll bring that back. The hiss will be gone. There we go. There we go. Yep. See?
Hey.
No problem to the Woo Crew, dude. No problem. We've got it handled, man. We've got it down. Big shout out to everyone over at TFRlive.com. And in particular, a big shout out to Mr. Geo and Lucky for seeing the distress signal. Yes, we threw up the Wookiee sign.
Fantastic.
It's like the bat signal, but only it's the Wookiee. And they seen it from the TFR HQ, and we got sorted, and we are here, and we are alive. We are loud and proud.
Look, Kev, you're like one of those you're like one of them really good captains in Starfleet, right? So if you got to get through the asteroid field, you know, they're able to maneuver the ship and get it angled and turned and dodging and weaving until you clear the asteroid field. But once you get into open space, you're good to go. Warp 5.
Engage.
Engage.
Indeed. So listen. That's probably the kind of music we need right enough, but said to you a little bit of woo. Did you know that on Halloween this year, if you'd been up in the north of Scotland, for the very heinous price of £27.54, you could have gone on a nighttime tour of Boleskine House. Oh, and this is the Boleskine House that no, we're not into the occult. We're not into that side of Crowley. We just want to restore the house, right? So it says Halloween night only. Join us for an exclusive tour of Boleskine Estate on the most haunted night of the year. It says Halloween night only. Limited spots available now. Obviously it's done, but it says here, join us for an exclusive tour of the Boleskine Estate on the most haunted night of the year. Boleskine is closed to tours right now, but we're opening the doors on Halloween night to give a few lucky people a chance to tour the grounds and learn about the history of the estate from Keith Reddy, the chair of the Boleskine House Foundation. Ticketed attendees are also invited to stick around after their tour to explore the grounds on their own, giving you unprecedented access to one of the most, get this, exciting historical sites in Scotland.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Yes, indeed. Well, it's not just that we have that, though, Nacy. It's not just that we have that. We take it further than that, because me being me, with my local connection to the area, and keeping the people as anonymous as possible, I know somebody that went there. Yes, it really got into a lot of the history. One part of the story that was shared with me via a very, very trustworthy third party is that at one point of the tour, they took a walk down the grounds of Boleskine, away from the house, and they stepped over the main road and went into the graveyard. Now, anyone that knows the little film I put together of my time up there, you'll appreciate you've got a single track road. On one side going down towards Loch Ness, you've got the cemetery, where a lot of my family actually are buried. Didn't know that until recent times. My mum's showing me the family names, and I knew there was connections to the area. But then as you go up the hill, you got Boleskine House. So the tour, they went down into the graveyard. And one of the people that was doing the tour said, check this out. And they started jumping up and down on a bit of ground in the graveyard. And what you could hear was the hollow echoes of some kind of chamber or passageway just under the ground. Now, this all ties in with the lore of the area, because down at the bottom corner of the cemetery, in the darkest corner there is, and where it's positioned, the sun can't actually hit there because of the trees. The sun never hits it. There's an outhouse. And when you go into this place, you can go down into the cellar of it. And it's weird because it looks like there's doorways that lead somewhere, but they go nowhere. And there's always been this story about how there was a tunnel that connected Boleskine to the graveyard. Now, it was said that the only reason they haven't opened it up yet and explored further, and they believe there is a tunnel, is because they haven't had the correct building or planning permission yet. And obviously with the graveyard side of it, they're not going to get to dig that up because of the bodies in there. However, if it comes from Boleskine House, they own that ground on the other side of the road. And if you draw a line or you get ground penetrating radar, like I'm sure they probably have, you'd easily see what direction, what orientation this tunnel takes, and it wouldn't be that hard to dig down into it. I've watched enough Oak Islands to know that this is an easy job. It's just, it's not a money pit you're going for. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, that's what they've done on the tour at like the witching hour, dancing up and down in the graveyard, Nacy, and the echoes coming from the tunnel.
It is so interesting that you're talking about that. Excuse me. But I'm going to clear my throat real quick. Sorry.
Yes, indeed.
Sorry, Afghan Kush. But it's so interesting that you bring up that, because I'm reading that Secrets of All Ages by Manly P. Hall, and then I just went and got another book off of Audible about Madame Blavatsky, which made me put Morals and Dogma, because I used to have that book somewhere, but I can't see it now. So I'm looking for the PDF, or I'm thinking about buying it on Audible. But in these books, they talk about the caves and how they would use the caves for rituals and ceremonies, or historically caves were used for oracles. And then all of a sudden it gets into the whole motifs of snakes or serpents, and how serpents stayed in caves and holes. And then you find out about the priesthood, or those that worship these snakes or dragons, and then they would meet in these sub chambers, because where do snakes live? They usually burrow, into the ground to their chambers, their quarters, where they share. And when you talk about Crowley, the biggest question I would have is, who gathered at the Crowley House, not on October 31st, but that following 4th of November, when it was the new moon? I wonder if they gave that list out of who was there on the grounds in those subterranean caverns.
Yeah, who knows, dude? There's enough woo up there, and there's enough people steeped in the woo. I'm telling you, it is a place. You don't have to look far for people that are into the paranormal, and that's not to say they're bad people or dark cabal type people. Yeah, but it's definitely a place where it's powered by woo. I mean, literally it is though, right? Because the local economy is built on the back of Loch Ness Monster. So literally, so, and Crowley himself, all he said to that was, well, it's the one place that he looked at where there was already rumors of monsters in the area.
Ah, see? I mean, obviously, he chose the place for a reason. Given
it was a strict criteria, Scott, for that Abramelin magic. Yep.
Yeah, given what he was into and all of that stuff. Go ahead.
Sorry, Scotty. What if Crowley was a shapeshifter, or Nessie was a shapeshifter, and Nessie took on the shape of Crowley?
Even too far for me, dude. Even too far for me. I'm just going to cut that
I'm
one
working
off.
on a book.
I'm going to cut that one off at Nessie's neck. That one's just too far.
Nessie
I
was
like
a
my woo.
shapeshifter and took on the shape of a human to experience.
I need to be eating some of the mushrooms that regularly grow on Crowley's field before that one's going to fly, man. Yeah.
Wait, but you're okay that God came down and took on a flesh suit? And wait, sorry.
Well, you know,
Is what it is, dude.
while we're going into epic levels of woo and just
Wooery.
over the top, should we bring some reptilian entities
It's
to the
been a
table,
while.
Kev?
It's been a while. It's been a minute.
It's been a while.
It's been a minute, as they say.
Yeah.
Oh, Venezuelan reptilians, no less. I love it.
Yeah, see?
Blah, blah, blah.
Look at that.
That's a belter, man. I don't know. I'd never imagined my reptilians to come with, like, shorts on. But I suppose maybe he's a little bit shy.
I thought the reptilians wanted to be referred to as colloquially a gifted.
Hey, who knows, dude? Who knows? That's the first thing we're going to have to... That'll probably be the first thing that anyone asks. You know, if a wokelin comes across a reptilian, how do you identify? Munch. Predator.
I don't know why, but I immediately thought of that wrestler Luchasaurus.
Awesome, dude. 70 million years and the boy still hasn't had a title fight. You know what I mean? Bang,
yeah,
dude.
right. All right, so let's see what's going on here in Venezuela, because looks like things are getting really spicy down there with some reptilian entities. So, how do you know if a shape-shifting reptilian has been in your house while you're out? Footprints might be a good hint, especially if they're 10 inches long and have odd, abnormal toes. The fact that the footprints seem to appear and disappear would be another clue, especially if the doors were locked, the windows barred, and no one was inside the residence. Welcome to the twilight zone of Adrian Escalante, a resident of Caracas, Venezuela, who seems to have had a close encounter with a reptilian.
Yes, man. I want to get Adrian on the show. Mr. Escalante, if you're out there. Please phone in.
Indeed. Reptilians among us? Question mark. A strange footprint appears in a house in Caracas. Hector Escalante, a well-known South American UFO researcher and journalist, revealed the account told to him by Adrian Escalante on Instagram. The incident took place on November 6th, 2021, in a house in the center of Caracas. Adrian Escalante told him the prints were found on the second floor. And there's a link to the images, Kev, for those viewing. You might maybe, and for the chat, maybe you can drop pictures or whatever. But he says that the prints were found on the second floor, an unusual place that would have led one to look for prints on the stairs.
Dear Lord, what the heck is that?
Yeah, what is going on there? That is whoa, dude. Are we on to something here? I don't know. That's kind of whoa. So they were on the second floor, which would be an unusual place that would have led one to look for prints on the stairs, at the door, near a window, and outside. Hector Escalante is a thorough investigator and checked all of those places and found no other prints. The only two prints in the house were the 10-inch ones, made of dark mud that had already dried by the time he saw them. Did this creature arrive while it was raining? It hadn't rained, therefore it was impossible for someone to have stepped on the swamp on the street and left those marks. Venezuela has had its share of chupacabra sightings. Hey, there we go, Kev. Chupacabras
Is there
shout
bears? Is there bears in Venezuela? I don't. I mean, I don't think so. Right?
I don't think there is.
I mean, I get where I think it was Brassneck. I get, because that does look a bit like the claw kind of action you'd get from a bear. But Venezuela,
I don't think so.
Again, yeah, I don't think so. But I could be corrected on that one. I don't know.
Yeah, but maybe
There's
people
a
out there in
similarity
chat.
though. I see where Brass is coming from. Definitely a similarity, right?
No, it does have that wide sort of paw print that a bear would have. It says Venezuela has had its share of chupacabra sightings, but Hector Escalante doesn't seem to think that's what made these prints. The country has a Bigfoot-like creature called the Mano Grande. Oh, see, here we go. We got another one to look into. Some Venezuelan cryptid action here.
There's not many countries that don't, right? Sorry, Scott, but there's not many countries that we come across that don't have a variant of that thing.
Sounds like this is a global phenomenon, a truly global phenomenon of at least these big, giant, hairy humanoid, beasts. So interesting. Says, but these don't look like humanoid primate prints. The closest cryptid might be the giant caiman, which is said to resemble a regular 16-foot caiman but grows up to 3 times as large and is capable of crushing boats and swallowing humans whole. A beast of that size would have left a path of destruction in a house. So that gets ruled out too. Yeah, I mean, if you had a large, basically, a caiman is a gigantic crocodile, basically a monster crocodile, that would have tore up everything on its way to put the print there, so.
Terrifying. Crocodiles terrify me, dude.
Yeah, it don't surprise me in the least that there would probably be a freakishly huge one, just like you have like a gigantic squid down in the depths of the ocean.
Seen a couple of good documentaries on that, I think, on probably History Channel. I watch too much of the History Channel. Way too much, man.
Hey, it's fine.
But I'm definitely open to the giant crocodile. Hell yeah.
Yeah, but in this case, no. It couldn't put those print. Yeah, they would tear that whole place up just to get up there in the second. Yeah, and how would that get up to the second floor and all that? But,
and was it near Lake Placid?
So, a practical joke, large animal, interdimensional entities of a reptilian nature. You decide. Hector Escalante throws interdimensional entities of a reptilian nature into the realm of possibilities.
I think he watches Freaky Friday. I mean, that's the kind of stuff we would just throw out there, right? An interdimensional entity of a reptilian nature. I love it, man.
You know what? Maybe you're gonna have to contact Hector Escalante. This UFO researcher. Get him to come on
and he would have a cool accent, right? Real cool, man.
Yeah, come on. Yeah, he'd have that suave South American flair to it, and I mean, you want to talk about a place where you have a lot of hardcore UFO researchers. I mean, South America is where the blue is.
Different attitude down there, right? Even like mainstream, like you see a lot more of the kind of, is it ovnis or onvis they call them down there in Mexico and things?
Yeah. OVNIs.
And,
Yeah.
Don't mix your ovnis for your onvis.
I mean, a lot of their UFO researchers down there, proper dudes. They're also like news reporters and things like that. On air personalities and.
You got that Jaime Maussan, innit? He's cool, man. The grey hair dude, Jaime Maussan. I think that's how you pronounce it. Looks like
Yeah,
Jamie to me, but
I have
I'm assured.
hours. I have hours and hours of Jaime
Yeah,
in
he's
interviews and the UFOs in Brazil. I don't know if you ever heard that story about there was like 3 of these little critters running around this little village and hundreds of witnesses.
Is that
and
where the army went to deal with it?
I'm sorry, say again?
The military went to deal with that?
Yes.
Yeah, man.
Yep, and they claimed that one of the entities were shot with a bunch of witnesses seeing it getting shot, and even like not that the blood was acid, but the blood like burnt, like smoldered where it was pretty interesting. So
interesting. So yeah, I mean, so this Hector Escalante, he throws out interdimensional entities of a reptilian nature into the realm of possibilities because there's nothing else to blame other than a hoax. Could a reptilian have entered the house of Adrian Escalante? And if so, why? Caracas is the capital of Venezuela and has had major
Ouija board
problems for years. Could the reptilians be causing them? Unfortunately, that's all the data provided by Hector on the mysterious reptile-like footprints found in Caracas. If it were a hoax, it was impressively executed. If it was a reptilian, let's hope Hector keeps an eye on the situation and keeps us informed. Well, you know what? For now, and in the spirit of Freaky Friday, I'm going to go with it. When Kev popped those photos up, we both were like, "Whoa!" So for now, I'm going to go with it. Definitely something strange is afoot in Caracas, Venezuela.
Pardon the pun.
See,
I like it, dude.
Yeah.
I like it way better than the puns I was trying to put together before the show. I can't remember what we were talking about, but it was a bad one. But we're almost on the break.
The portal is coming from inside the house.
Yes, it is. And we're almost on the break. And talking of portals, I want to remind people that coming up right after Freaky Friday, no need to go anywhere else because TFR Live has got you covered. Brent Thomas and Don Longbeard will be going live. And they invite you, yes, you out there through the paranormal portal. In my opinion, the quintessential #1 paranormal podcast on the network. And I know me, Scott, and Nacy really love the fact that we're the show before them and we're like the warm-up act. I think it works brilliantly, especially if, like me, Scott, and Nacy, you're a connoisseur of the paranormal and the supernatural high strangeness. Brent has definitely got that covered. Absolutely.
It's like when you're going to a concert, like just this huge rock concert in the arena, you got to have that like really good opening band that like gets the crowd like all fired up and hyped up for the for the main show. And I think we do a pretty good job of hyping everyone up for some paranormal portal.
Then Brent comes in and drops the woo hammer, and they say, drops the woo hammer. And who comes up after that, Nacy?
Main band.
Who comes up after? Sorry.
Paisley Wild.
I always forget.
The
Thank you,
spaces
brother.
between.
Yeah.
My favorite Kitchen Witch. But that's the true sign of two bands that really like each other. When the main band and the opening band, where they'll share space on stage. And when the main band does their final encore, the warm-up band comes on and joins them also.
Absolutely, dude. Absolutely.
Those are great concerts.
Yep. What's the best concert you've been to, Nacy?
The best concert?
Yeah.
Oh, geez. While
you're thinking, right? While you're thinking, do you know who's coming to Scotland soon? The Eagles, man.
Oh, no way.
Yeah, they're getting back after 50 years or something. They're coming over here. Yep. Even I like a bit of the Eagles, man. I could handle an evening on that.
They've been playing like the casinos and stuff around here, the Eagles. So I mean, yeah, they've been touring around, and
ABBA are getting back together, man.
This flock of seagulls.
Like, they're all getting back together. It's like, come on, man. Is there like no new big mega bands coming out?
The
You know what I mean?
come
Just the-
back again tour.
Yeah.
It's the way the music industry is nowadays. You don't have like
Industry.
big bands like
Well,
that.
it's like music. It's like
I don't know.
TV as well, right? And cinema. I mean, it's like you don't see really many big standout originals. It's all
Entertainment.
remakes and redos
Yeah.
of old stuff. It's like, I suppose Terence McKenna would say we've reached that kind of time of is it novel time? We've done it out creativeness. Our creativeness is now, you know. I'm not too sure how to put it into words, but I know where I'm trying to go. But we are going to go for a
Kev.
break. Go for it, Nasa. Your favorite concert? I forgot.
Real quick, favorite concert either had to be Prince, of course. When I went to see him 2 nights in a row with his Purple Rain tour, incredible. Or 9 Inch Nails, Trent Reznor at First Avenue.
Oh, that's awesome.
Okay then.
I would
And
say
I
my
miss
best
partying
concert.
with him.
My best concert was going to see the metal band Gojira back in 2007. That was a fantastic concert. One of the
We
most
are on the
mind-blowing
break.
things.
Sorry, dude. Sorry.
All right.
There
No
you
problem.
go. There you go. We're on the break, and I think I heard the music coming in there, so I think we're a little bit
Yeah.
So I'll find another crazy, crappy song that we can put on here. Unless Brassneck got back to me, because he had a creepy story. Started off, long story short, one Easter weekend, visited family in a peculiar pub in Manchester a few years ago. And there was a lock-in, if you know how it goes, absolutely. Some of the best nights, my man. He says, I went to the loo to offload a few pints and passed some elderly man sitting with his pint and his paper. I said, hello, mate. And I was on my way past and he nodded. Scrolling down here. Where are you, Brass? Where have you gone? I kid you not, he was as real as if he were sitting there having a pint, sitting at the next table. Gave me the goosebumps as soon as I was told about him minutes afterwards. Must have been the ghost of the pub. Oh boy, you need to watch out for those ones. That's all I'm going to say. A little bit of personal woo,
Good
man.
one.
Can't beat the personal woo. We'll be back in a moment, folks. Don't go anywhere. Oh no, I don't like that tune. That's a bad one. Me no likey that one. Don't know about that one either. We're just gonna go around a whole host of things here. Nah, that'll do. A bit Stranger Things. Ooh, that'll be coming back soon as well. Can't beat a bit of Stranger Things. So Algo says he saw the Moody Blues with the Colorado Symphony Orchestra at Red Rocks in Colorado. Pretty epic. Nice.
Oh.
ZX. Oh, dude. He saw Nirvana supporting Mudhoney in the early 90s. Nirvana, dude.
You have to send me that one, Kev.
This one
That
here?
Bumpers, yeah.
Okay,
The
dude.
beginning of it. Can you start it from the beginning again?
Yeah, if you like, I'll start it from the beginning.
Send me that link if you can, because we got woo
Well,
words.
it's a file.
Screaming out of that one.
It's a file. I'll get you the file, man. I don't know if you'll be able
You
to
feel the
save it.
groove?
Will you be able to save it if I send you it on
We'll find out.
Skype? Okay, there you go. It should just download and it'll be ready to open.
Sometimes I hear music and all of a sudden I hear words in it. Like with this one here, right away I just hear, welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Can you handle the woo?
Ooga booga.
Yeah.
Ooga booga.
I was trying to set up a Mad Hatter's Tea Party this weekend with a bunch of my musical friends.
Oh, nice.
And then we got
You
snow.
should make some music for the YouTube stream, man. When you're
Yeah?
down the rabbit hole.
Ooh, there we go. We're on our way to Speculation Island. Warp Speed Scotty.
Yes, indeed. 2 hours down and 1 to go. And you will all be pleased to know that we are just about to add the phone lines. Give me 2 seconds, folks. Hold on now, hold on. Oh. Talk just now, boys. Talk just now, will you? While I get this connected. Is anybody
So
out
it
there?
is November 12th, Freaky Friday with the Woo Crew. You can find us on many platforms, but you're going to have to take a few precious moments
Can I come through and kick
with
it
the
with
woo
you?
woo
Can we
woo.
woo woo woo? Snip a little ooh ooh.
Ooh.
Don't really matter cause you're still my boo boo. We can slide out, ride out,
Wind out.
Yes, indeed. We're back. We are live. I don't know how that happened, but we're live. We're here. And we are connected to the phone lines. Yes, indeed, ladies and gentlemen. So, with that in mind, if you want to call in with your personal woo, we're looking for ghost stories, shadow entities, aliens, voices in your head, hauntings, chupacabras, reptilians, anything that is Freaky Friday-esque. We want to hear from you. And all you have to do is dial.
Or ask questions.
Yes, all you have to do is dial 213-233-3998. That's 213-233-3998. And you can be with the Woo Crew to deliver the audience your personal woo. Or like Nace says, you can ask a question. Nace likes taking the questions, Scotty. I remember having him on with Mary Dacina. He turned into like our number 2 resident astrologist, psychic medium. It was fantastic.
I'm not going to take any of those labels.
Well, I'm telling you, man, he was loving it, dude. He was getting it. He was into it, man.
I can imagine that there was quite a vibe between Mary and Nace, and that there was a lot of astrological woo that was being thrown around.
There was a few moments where my ego was like saying, "Go ahead, start a service and help people, and for $19.99, I'll be your many sins man." But I don't know.
Okay,
the responsibility of it.
Hold that thought. Hold that thought, man. Hold that thought. We're going to the phone lines. Yes, indeed. We are going to Colorado over there in the US. Welcome to Freaky Friday. You're on with the Woo Crew. Who are we speaking with?
Well, you are speaking with Algorithm, a.k.a. Mike, in Colorado.
Dude.
Hi, Scott. Hi, Nace. Hey, Kev.
Hey man, good to hear you. And listen, as soon as I hear that voice, I know exactly who we're talking to. You've got a voice for doing this, man. And for anyone out there who doesn't know, Algo, as we affectionately call him around here, you'll see him in the YouTube chat room. But he's got a YouTube channel where he gets people on to talk about all the things going on in the world. A little bit of woo, sewing in between all of the topics. Good stuff over there. So I urge everyone to check out Algo on YouTube. Just check for Algo Rhythm. 2 different words. ALGORHYTM or RHYHM, sorry. You'll be able to check out his channel. So, Algo, the woo, what have you got for us, man?
Well, I got a woo story that's a little bit different. I was very close with my grandmother growing up. I had a single mom, and my grandmother filled in a lot of the gaps. So she and I developed a very tight personal relationship. She had cancer for a long time. I got the phone call that she was in the hospital. I called her up, spoke to her. I went and talked to her a little bit. And then the morning, it was a Thursday, my sister calls me and says, the doctor just called. Grandma doesn't have very long. So I throw the shoes on. I'm in the car. I'm probably only 15 minutes from the hospital. So I'm driving and I'm sitting there and I'm like, hang on, Grandma, hang on. And I'm doing that in my head. And I get to the bottom. There's a big hill you go up before you get to the hospital. I'm at the bottom of the hill, and something hit me. And I said, don't wait for me, Grandma. And I looked at the clock, and it said 5:47. And I felt heat in my chest, and it rushed up through my head, and it went out the top of my head. And it was like a hot flash, kind of. Or if you're like getting pissed drunk and all of a sudden you got that thing, you're like, whoa. So then I go to the hospital. I park, I walk and get the elevator, go upstairs, go to the room. She had passed. She'd passed at 5:47.
Wow.
And it was incredibly powerful. About 4 days later, she was in a dream of mine, and she was tan, and she was about 35 years old, and she had a white robe on, and she was sitting at the foot of my bed trying to talk to me. And my bed was the exact opposite configuration of what it actually is in my reality. And I could not remember what she said. I was so frustrated with myself.
You know,
But
I'll
it was
go,
definitely...
sorry,
Go ahead.
I've heard, and I can't remember where I heard it or where I read it, but I've heard that that's actually quite common, a common occurrence that a loved one will appear in a dream shortly after. I'm somebody that I don't usually typically dream. Probably been smoking too much PPP, but yeah, I've heard that definitely is a thing from what I remember. You're nodding, Scotty, yeah?
No, because I have personally experienced that with both of my grandfathers passing, and they were in my dreams very heavily for a while after it passed, and then subsequently those dreams have subsided and stuff like that. But in the shorter term after they passed, I had a lot of very similar experiences. So yeah, I can attest for that. But the whole thing that Algo was describing with the of that sort of that rush or that feeling that occurred at the exact same moment, the time is that's wild. I've never
Scared the
experienced
hell
that.
out of me, Scotty.
Oh, I bet, dude.
It was like, what? Are you sure? And you're like, yeah, we're sure. This is what we're going to put on the death certificate. And I was 26 years old at the time, and literally I felt closer to her than the rest of my family. And it was a big trauma afterward, and all the loss and all that stuff. But in that moment, I've never felt more connected to anybody in my entire life. It was just mind blowing.
Yeah, I mean, essentially, it was like you could feel her energy and everything go through you at that exact same moment is what it was. I mean, it was, it's like, because you're quantumly entangled, if you think about it. I mean, it was such a, that's wild, man. it's a, yeah, I bet
the
that
only
was
way
experience.
After a while, the way I could describe it was a part of me left when she left.
Yeah, that's what yeah.
I have a similar occurrence I'll share, but if someone else calls in, Kev, just interrupt me. But my grandmother, when she was sick and in the hospital here across the river in Fargo, North Dakota, I went up there and they allowed me to do ceremony there. And so I brought my drum and my little suitcase I have with my tools, I guess you could say, and did a little ritual ceremony, sang a healing song, and then I talked to my grandmother and just said, this is your choice, as it is all of our choices. And unfortunately, when people are in hospital, that choice seems less and less needed to be made, or they've said peace with themselves and they're okay with transmuting or changing over or passing over, or whatever you want to call it. And so then I had this conversation with my grandma, my relatives there, and then I said goodbye and I had to leave. And we got home, and I think maybe within 3 hours after leaving the hospital, I got a phone call, and I knew exactly when the phone rang. Right away, I'm like, okay, my grandma just passed, and sure enough, that was the phone call. And this has happened to me in 3 other situations where people have passed on in my life. And it's really interesting, that ability of tuning in, especially when it's somebody you care about, somebody that you shared a lot of space with, then you can tune in easier with that. And that's a beautiful story, Algo,
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
know you can connect like that.
I've got his channel up on the screen right now, and look at that. Unbeknown to algorithm, because I'm a long-time lurker, long-time listener. Last 3 shows, you've got the full red bar on there. The full red bar I've watched from start to finish. Yes, you've been doing good work, brother. And I've dropped the link over there at
Thank you,
YouTube,
sir.
so please check that out, folks. Indeed. Now, we've got another couple of callers on the line, Algo. So I want to thank you so
Thanks
much
for taking my call, guys. Keep it up,
dude.
okay?
Oh, thank you for the support. Thank you for the story. And what a way to kick off the calls.
Yeah, it was fantastic.
Love you, brother.
Love you too, man. Yep. Love you too. So let's move on now then. Oh, it's like a real show when you get callers and that, Scotty, right? Let's move on now to area code 507. Welcome to Freaky Friday. Who are we talking with?
Long time listener, first time caller.
Hey
guys, this is Brent Thomas from Paranormal Portal.
I seen Brent on there and I thought, is it? Yes, man. How you doing, brother?
Doing great. And I love sharing this story. So if you don't mind indulging me for a second, I'd like to share a very real encounter that I had that still to this day boggles my imagination.
Oh, go for it, man.
Okay.
We're all ears. Yep.
Now, I might have shared this before. I know I've shared it on my show, but I would love the opportunity to share it here in case I hadn't already. But a few years ago now, my dad passed away. And when he passed, it wasn't a surprise or anything. You had a COPD kind of thing cooking. And it was, very hard. But I made a couple journeys home before he passed and was able to visit with him. But still, when he passed, it was tough because you always have those things you want to say and those things that you would love to have the chance to fill in those blanks before it's all over. But anyway, I didn't get that opportunity, and it was really tough for me. But I was sitting talking to my mom, and she said, ever since your dad passed away, some weird things have been happening. I'm like, really? What's going on? Well, my mom and dad each have their own TV, so to speak. So they would watch different things. My dad was big on Walker, Texas Ranger. My mom was very big on true crime. So as you can imagine, they didn't have a lot in common in the TV game. But she said that, my dad would watch his TV out in the Four Seasons porch, and it would come on suddenly. His TV would come on. And I was like, wow, that's really interesting. So we were talking about that a few times. Well, then on a Friday, I'm sitting in my studio here working, and suddenly my phone rings. It's my mom's number. And I'm like, oh, this is weird. So, I pick up the phone. I'm, hello, nobody's there. And so I'm like, what's going on? I wonder if mom pocket dialed me or something. So I'm like, hello, nothing. But I could hear in the background this sound like like a coughing. And I was like, well, that's weird. My brother must be over there, and they just, she's pocket down me or whatever. So I hung up and called back to see if maybe the ringing phone would, and I could say, hey, you pocket down me, but no answer. And so I was like, this is weird. What's going on? So I put the phone down, and about 15 minutes later, my mom calls me, and she said, what did you want? I was like, well, you called me. She is, what? And I said, yeah, you called me. And she said, no, I was in the shower. I was in the shower for the last 15 minutes. I didn't call you. My phone was up on the dining room table. I said, well, is my brother over there? And she goes, no, I'm here alone. The house is locked. I'm like, well, that's really weird. So we had this discussion. Well, later that night when I went live, I decided to share the story about this to my audience. And so I did the show talking about that. Well, come Saturday morning, my mom calls me and she says, you're never going to believe this. And I was like, what is it? She said, your dad's TV came on by itself, And not only did it come on, it came on. It's a smart TV, but my dad and mom never hooked it up to the internet or anything. So that it's on the internet. Not only that, but it's on YouTube. Not only that, but it's on your channel. And not only that, but it's playing the episode where you're talking about your dad pocket calling you potentially.
Whoa.
I don't know. I don't know how many layers of possibility that would be, but that's like the old tornado in the junkyard assembling a 747 to me, right? It's like it's how many layers of
my brother from the same mother
would that take?
Dude.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, exactly, brother. But it was just magical.
It is so awesome, Brent, that you're calling in, my dear friend, because the minute that you brought up about your father passing, I started thinking about 2 years ago, my father passed. One of the biggest challenges that my father had is he had a lot of mucus. And so this mucus would build up in his throat and he would have to clear his throat all the time. And that is one of the things that sometimes I hear in my home where I'm like, was that just my dad doing his like, you know? And then it's at the same time when you're talking about the phone call, and on the phone call you hear like somebody clearing their throat.
Yep. Yeah. Amazing. And I don't mean to keep up your type your phone lines, guys. I love you guys, and thank you so much for setting the stage and you know, making my transition to my show so brilliant. You guys are amazing.
Oh, dude, it's an honor.
Yes, my favorite call in, because Brent opens up the lines every night.
I'm telling you, man, it's not very often I'm lost for words, but like that was the perfect kind of comparison for all of those things to line up like that. That's uber woo.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, like Brent said, that's like levels upon levels of like layers that had to perfectly align to like we said, Kev, I don't believe in coincidence. That's much too coincidental for
even the most skeptical out there, you know. That takes some explaining, or does it?
Brent is very sensitive.
Yep.
Oh,
he's very, very good.
Well, he has more stories too.
He does. He does. And listen, folks.
A bunch, but
no, I was going to say you can catch Brent right after Freaky Friday. No need to wait very long at all. 3 short minutes after we finish, you can catch him on tfrlive.com. And he's also live every single night. I'm telling you, Brent, for all the work you put in, I want to thank you personally, man. As a connoisseur of woo, you definitely deliver, dude, honestly.
Did you launch a new podcast too?
No, just the regular podcast, but we've got a shorts channel where we're doing excerpts from the 2-hour interviews and making little 10-minute videos out of those. It's called the Paranormal Portal Pieces. That's our secondary channel. We're just launched.
Nice. I will get a link to that as the show progresses. But Brent, thank you very much, sir. And of course, we'll be joining forces the next
pleasure.
Friday, the 13th, right?
Woohoo! Anytime, brother. You just let me know. I'm there.
Absolutely, dude. Brent Thomas,
Toodles.
ladies and gentlemen. I tell you what, man. Paranormal Portal, top-notch show. That was a top-notch call as well. And that's 2 great calls so far. If you want to call into the show, it's 213-233-3998. That's 213-233-3998. And the reason I'm not rushing, despite the rumors online, rushing, is we have got our good friend Jules on the line. Jules, welcome back to the show. It's good to hear from you. How are you doing, sister?
I'm doing fantastic.
Awesome. So I'm going to hand it over to you. Tell us what's been going on.
A lot of stuff goes on and random weird stuff happens in my world. Sometimes it's the unexplained and sometimes it's signs, and you talk with your elders in Discord and you yarn and you find out more and more about yourself and the role that you bring to KBS, and life is fantastic. But I was actually chatting with you a little bit earlier when you were doing a little bit of gaming, and I was going to tell you about Woo, and then you just like, no, just call tonight. So at your request, I am going to tell you what I saw, but I don't know what it is. But you had mentioned alien. It's definitely alien. So to get a good sense of, I'm a suburb, I'm not in the city, I'm outlying in the city. I live next to a park that's heavily wooded, and then there's the little condo unit that I'm in, and then in my backyard I have a little wooded patch that's not very far from a busy road, not massively busy road, but enough traffic. So I have my nature shots. I set it on the terrace. I've watched the sun set almost every chance that I can get. And there was one night when I had a dear friend of mine over, and we were just sitting outside on the terrace, and we were cocktailing and smoking and having a grand old time. And I was just in mid-sentence. I can't tell you what I was saying, but my friend picks me up, pulls my shirt, and she's like, "Look at this." And I'm like, "What am I looking at? I don't see anything." And she's, "Shh." So, and then sure enough, in that little busy spot on the terrace side, something pitch black, blacker than dark, came out of the brush, and it was going towards, would be my left, it was going towards the big park. So because my unit is in the back and it's facing the trees, there's streetlights and everything. So this creature that was blacker than tar, blacker than night, I didn't see its face. I saw its backside. I'm on the second floor, and I would guess that it was about maybe 7 feet tall. It looked like it was upright, but it was moving so fast and scurrying, and it had long arms, and it looked like it had dense fur on it. And I only saw it for 4 or 5 seconds. It was coming from the brush, and it was chasing something, and it was so focused on what it was chasing that I saw the shadow move through the light, and it went super quick, like it was scurrying, moving on 4 legs, but it looked like it was upright, walking on 2.
Whoa.
I have no idea what it could be. I didn't see its face, but I can tell you that it did not have wings, and it was covered with fur.
I want to say Dogman.
Yeah, we're definitely talking about one of these sort of like dark, hairy humanoid entities, whether it be Dogman or a Bigfoot. You know, Donnie's in the chat saying Yowie. You know, that sounds like a Yowie kind of situation. But one thing I always find interesting is like how almost these creatures are completely like, it's almost like they're blacker than black, right? They're like almost devoid of light, but yet they still have the features or the characteristics of like maybe having fur or something like that. But it's almost like there's no sort of light absorption, at least from our reality, that it's weird. It's almost like they're in a whole different phase of light spectrum or something like that. But that's definitely wild, you know, and it's on par with a lot of the same sort of witness accounts of how these things look, you know. And
or if I may humbly add as a possibility, she got blasted by the discombobulator.
The discombobulators.
Well, in my experiences walking in the park, there's always in one spot, when I've walked around this park, I walk as much as I can there, but there our areas, it's kind of like a circle. When I look around, I see the same area get more sunken in as time goes on. And I think that there's activity in that park. I have seen and photographed things in the sky that I can't describe, that if you would look at it, it's a regular picture. Once you zoom in, and it's like, what is that?
No, when you start to pull in multiple phenomena like that, I start to imagine some kind of portal, ley lines, or something in that
Yeah, I was about
area,
to say,
perhaps, right?
something is going on with that general area, that there's a heightened level of high strangeness, if you will, that is occurring.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, that's the out there woo, and then I have a lot of personal woo that's happened in the past 2 or 3 months.
Well, hold that thought, because
I mean, it all started with an angel coin.
Well, hold that thought, because we're going to be going to the break in a little second, Jules. And if you like, when we come back on the other side, we can get another quick story from you. And then we've got another caller, area code 860. You hang on the line as well. And we'll be back after these short messages, folks. So please don't go anywhere. We will be right back. Let's see. There we go. So we'll go back to Jules after the break, folks. We're gonna we have to kind of hang up on the phone lines during the break because the ads come on and things. But we'll be back after 3 short minutes here. And I tell you what, 3 calls we've had, guys. Like the caliber of call we're dealing with here. This has really taken the woo to another level, and we were already having a great show. The stories we were getting into. Scott's personal stuff, Nace's flow was going as well. But I honestly think we've kind of dropped the hammer here, and the woo has gone up several notches. Big thank you to the callers. We'll be back after the break, and if you want to call in, all you have to do, you ready, is dial 213-233-3998. That's 213-233-3998. We'll be right back. There we go. We are back. We're live. One segment to go on this week's Freaky Friday. Yes, indeedy. Wow, gentlemen. What a show this has developed into, right? For three amigos turning up with not much more than a Skype connection and not a plan in sight. And then we opened the phones up and it's gone through the roof.
All we had was a Skype connection and the shirt on our back, and now look where we're at.
No plans, not trusting any plans, no agendas, nothing like that going on. Just pure woo, man. A stream of conscious woo. And then, of course, shouldn't be surprised. The listeners, the people that tune into Freaky Friday, you lot out there, dang, there's something about the personal woo. It's great reading Mysterious Universe or the ghost stories, or we're just talking about stuff, giving opinions. But when you hear boots on the ground, as they say, on Oak Island, when you get somebody that's experienced it, that's when you get the real kind of goosebumps going on, you know?
Indeed. And it's always interesting to hear a lot of the, experiences that our listeners and viewers have had, because we've all kind of had our own experiences or know somebody who's had an experience, and it's interesting to hear everyone's perspective on it and just kind of hear more stories about it, because I think a lot of this stuff is happening more frequently than what people are led to believe, right? Because for every person that's out there sharing their experience, how many do you think there are that just kind of like keep it to themselves or don't share their experiences because maybe they're afraid of being called crazy or whatever? It's kind of like the whole UFO thing. How many people you think have seen something weird and then was like, you know what, I'm not gonna say anything about that because maybe they're gonna think I'm crazy or or something like that. But nah, it's good, man.
Sorry, for people probably watching are going, look at that cheeky little ignorant little imp on the camera, not even paying attention. Speaking with the network, folks. Speaking with the network. Big shout out to Mr. Geo and Cherie as well. Yes, indeedy. Sorry, dude. Sorry.
Yeah. No problem. So yeah, that's why it's cool to have people call in and give their experiences and talk about it, because like I said, I think this stuff is happening a lot more often than what we're led to believe. It's just a lot of people don't want to talk about it.
Big time.
They kind of question.
I think it's becoming. I think it's got less taboo attached to it now, Scott, than it maybe did when I was growing up. Even just 5-10 years ago, there was probably less taboo. Now things are moving that quickly, right?
Think about how horrifying it would have been to be living in the time of, say, like the Salem witch trials or things like that. If you were the type of, person running around saying, "Oh, I'm seeing things. I'm speaking with the dead," and all of this stuff, it probably was a lot more beneficial for your safety back then to just keep quiet about things like that. You know what I mean? Because anybody who happens to be gifted or cursed, in some cases, I guess, because a lot of these people that are clairvoyants or are able to, see beyond the veil.
Shout out to Beyond the Veil there. I like it, dude. I like it.
Yeah. They weren't treated so well back in the day. If you ran around talking about things like that, so
shall we go back to the hotline?
Yes, indeed.
The bat phone is ringing off the hook. It really is. So we're going back first of all to our good friend Jules, and then we're going to go to area code 860, and then we've got area code 304 as well. So, Jules, welcome back to the show. Give us something else that's gone on with you. You seem to be somebody that's very open to this kind of thing. And I like that, and I always like to hear what you've got to share with us.
Well, I was going to tell you about the angel coin, but you've got other callers calling in. So I'll tell you another story that I call the ship story. It happened when I was young. I was probably 7 or thereabouts. We had moved from Hawaii we were waiting to get into base housing, but there was nothing available. So we ended up staying just offside of the base in a trailer park until the house was ready. So we were in this trailer, and there was always the first room to the left. That the second that door opened and I walked in, I just felt there was something really, really horrible with this place. But I was so young, I couldn't describe my feelings. And also, when you're young, you're open, you're more aware to things. So I always had the bad vibe about this place. I did everything. That, of course, that's the room that my parents wanted me to stay in. I slept everywhere but in that bedroom. I would sleep in the kitchen, in the bathroom tub. I would sleep on the kitchen table. I would sleep in a chair. Anything to avoid sleeping in that room. So there was one night where basically I wasn't beaten, but I was like, you will sleep in that room tonight. So I went to bed crying, and that night there was a storm, and a big bolt of lightning came and woke me up. And in that bolt of lightning, I saw the ghost of the person who hung himself with the noose and everything in the middle of the room.
Whoa.
Thunderbolts
That's
of lightning, very, very frightening.
Well, you see, as they
Jules,
say on the
great story.
as they say on the round table over on the KBS Discord, when truth flies, silence. Yep, it's met by silence. People are lost what to say, and there was that pregnant silence there as we were all sat on the edge of our chairs thinking, wow. Woo.
I want to make it about
and I always felt that. Oh, I'm gonna wrap it up real quick. I always felt, even back when that door first opened, that somebody died here.
Mm. Yeah, that was that spidey
I want you to
sense.
catch this, Jules. Sorry, Scotty, go ahead.
I'm sorry, what was that they say?
Well, I was just going to say is, I want you to hear this, because earlier when Scotty was talking about a picture, and in the picture were legs, the minute that he said in this picture was legs, the first impression that the picture I get in my mind is that somebody is sitting at a table, and hanging from the ceiling of the picture are like legs hanging down. And in my head, I'm getting this image of somebody's hanging in the room.
Ooh.
And that's that picture you were talking about, Scotty. And that was my image in my head that I had earlier in the show. And now Jules just threw this image of somebody hanging from the ceiling.
Yep.
And
that's good woo. That is good woo. Jules, thank you so much for
thank you.
Thank you for the slice of time tonight. It's been fantastic. Everybody have a fantastic evening. Much love, everyone.
No, much love to you. And of course, Jules is appearing every Saturday over in the KBS Disco when they have their round table. Indeed. So with that said, thank you again, Jules. Great woo. Let us go to area code 860. Welcome to Freaky Friday. Who are we talking with?
Hello, can you hear me?
We can hear you. Welcome to the show, sir. What's your name?
Hey, what's up? This is Bobby Trizzle.
Bobby Trizzle, the Twitch man. Good Good to hear you,
Yes,
sir.
yes, sir. I
Thank
just
you
want
for
to
being
say
over there
hello,
on
everybody.
Twitch, man.
Hello, Scotty. Hello, Nisi.
Hey, what's up, man?
Hey, Bobby.
Bobby will be. I'll be on Twitch tomorrow, doing some Forza.
I'm a long time listener, lurker. I'm just excited that you're on Twitch finally.
No, dude, I'm loving it over there. I think I'm too old for Twitch, but I'll be gaming over there tomorrow, man. So keep an eye open for that. You can get a laugh at me playing Forza.
All right.
He's
All right,
too
cool.
old for Twitch, but he's old enough that he twitches.
So what woo have you got for us, Bobby? What's been happening with you and the woo?
All right. I'll try to make it quick. I got like 2 quick stories. All right. The first one was I was young, right, back in the 90s, and this is during I used to, as a kid, I used to watch like mystery shows and UFO shows that they play at night. This is like during the time when like Fire in the Sky came out and stuff like that. So the UFO craze was ramping up. One night I was watching a UFO video about alien abductions. I'm just thinking to myself, that's not gonna happen. But at the same time, and deep down, I was like, I kind of want it to happen because I want to experience it. So, and then I think a few minutes later, or like a few hours, or a few minutes, or a few hours later, there was a knock on my window.
Whoa.
Hello?
No, we're here.
Yeah.
We're here,
Yeah,
dude. We're
so-
here. We're listening to this good woo, man. You see, you gotta be careful what you wish for,
Yeah,
Bobby.
there was a knock on my window. I'm thinking to myself, wait a minute, I'm on the 2nd floor.
Whoa, hang on.
My heart was racing. I'm thinking to myself in the head, they're coming to get you, Barbara. But yeah, and then heard the voice like, Bobby, open up. It's your uncle. I forgot my keys.
Oh, Bobby, I bet
Apparently,
you.
my uncle got like a ladder just to knock on my window right after I watched a UFO special.
I'm telling you, man. I bet you're lucky you didn't have a heart attack, dude.
Right. So yeah, that was just my silly, synchronization story.
Oh, you've got me laughing now. I would have been lying there, absolutely petrified if that was me. Do you know that?
Yeah, I was like, what the heck is going on? I couldn't believe it. Yeah, I was like, that's so like, coincidental at that time. I'm here watching these scary UFO abduction stories on late night television.
So
this guy comes and knocks on the window.
Let me ask you then, Bobby. Do you think that does happen, or do you think that's too far out there?
I just didn't think that was gonna happen that night. Like,
What about in general, though? What
about
in general terms? You mentioned Fire in the Sky. I think that's Travis Walton's story off the top of my head. I mean, are you open to like
right.
people being abducted? Do you think that's a thing, dude?
I don't know. There's so many theories and counter theories and like misinformation. So I don't even know anymore.
I'm on the same page as you, man. Yeah, Scotty, you're nodding away there.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's one of those topics to where you're dealing with people that there's a lot of hoaxes that are involved, and then there's some accounts that are genuinely unexplainable, and so it's just it's just you got to deal with it on a case by case basis and look at each one. Each one is unique.
Definitely. What do you think, Nacy? You're open to it being a thing, right? Abductions and stuff like that. Is Nacy there? Have we lost Nacy?
I think Nacy's been abducted.
I think he has. There he is.
Yes, I was caught between the ether there, but I did like the opportunity for the knock, knocking on Bobby's window.
Oh, I like
Uncle
it. I like it.
Joe. But mucho gracias, Roberto. Love the story. And I would put it out there that you got more than just a few stories. I'm gonna dare say and proclaim that Mr. Roberto is a little sensitive. Am I correct to assume that, sir?
I've had some like experiences, but not like personal experience or like this experience like surrounding me, but like not really like gotten close to me.
Yeah, it's like kind of like my situation where there's a lot of stuff going on around me, but not directly happening to me. But there's
So could
enough
I
going
reword
to make you go,
Could I reword the question?
Something like that.
Could I reword the question that I'm going to assume that you've had experiences that you feel that you can easily explain why they happened, but they're still strange enough that you ponder its validity? How about that?
Yeah, I guess, but that's why I want to get into my second story. It was an actual woo that happened. You know, that happened within that day or something.
Go for it, man. Go for it. Yeah, go for it, dude.
All right. Okay.
Oh yeah.
One day, this is during my teenage years. Me and my friends were hanging out in the house. And he's like, one of my friends like, hey, my sister and I here, she's got a Ouija board. You want to play with it? It was me and a couple of my other friends. Like, yeah, let's try out this Ouija board shit. So as we're playing it, I feel that I was getting we were getting an answer. We were talking to a spirit, and I guess one of my friends, I guess he got spooked out, but he played it out like, oh, this is some stupid shit. I don't want to do this no more. This is dumb. So yeah, after that, he spoiled the moment. So yeah, we put the Ouija board in the box, put it under my friend's sister's bed. We went to the movies after that, and then we came back later that day. His sister my friend's sister was yelling at him like, yo, what the hell are you guys doing in my room? Like, why didn't you guys put the Ouija board away? It was just sitting there in the middle of my room.
Ooh. Now you see, this is the thing with Ouija boards, man. They're dodgy, yeah. That's creepy. That's goosebump material. See, as soon as the Ouija board came up, I'm thinking, oh, here we go. Portal in the room, Scotty.
So
yeah.
Everybody was like looking at each other like, what the hell? We put that shit away.
Now, Bobby, I'm going to have to go on to the next caller because, to be fair, that'll give everyone a similar amount of time. But, dude, thank you.
You're right. I just wanted to share those stories.
No, man, that was brilliant.
Listen to my story.
Listen, man, thank you. Yeah, thank you for calling in. Great stuff, Bobby. Angie gave us a laugh. Angie gave us woo. Well, you can't ask for much more than that, guys, right?
That was great storytelling.
Hey, Bobby Trizzle. There he is.
Yep.
Over on the Disco. He's our brave one viewer over on Disco. I'll figure it out someday. Maybe when I get gaming, we'll get more followers over there. Probably since it's a gaming streaming site, we probably will, right? But anywho, we're going finally now to area code 304. Welcome to Freaky Friday. It's good to speak with you.
Hello?
Hey there. Who are we talking with, man?
Hey, this is Brian, a.k.a. Mallard the Duck.
Mallard the Duck!
Oh, Mallard the Duck!
Yeah, quack, quack, quack.
Love it, man.
Despicable.
Mallard, you've got about 7 minutes, dude. Give us your best woo.
Oh, I'm going to give you some woo, man. How you guys doing, Scotty and Nisi? It's good to meet you.
Yeah, fantastic. We're doing great, man.
Right back at you.
Can't wait to, get into it, man. What you got for us?
Okay, we're taking a time travel back to the early 1980s. Now, Scotty, you said you knew the area of mineral wells in West Virginia. Well, I grew up in Parkersburg, West Virginia, and the area that's close to this is where the water towers broke over Quincy Hill Park back in the 1800s. But we lived in the early 1980s. I was born in a Victorian house on 13th and a half. That was a 2-story. And it was made right after the Civil War, not too long after that. But that was a house that I kind of grew up in as a kid. So there was a lot of unexplained things happening. And one of the first things that I remember as a tot, and I remember this clear as day, is I was outside running around, and all of a sudden this flower came up out of the ground and was chasing me all over the yard. And I can still remember that. I know it wasn't in my mind, but there were strange occurrences happening. But one of the other strange occurrences that happened within this house, we found out that a lady back in the 1800s burned in the attic alive, and you could see the scorch marks. And
It's
hello?
okay. It's okay. Keep going, Duck. It was Nace's voice or text to voice. I kind of got scared there. I thought
Okay,
we'd
sorry.
That
no,
freaked
dude.
me out. There's no
So
reason
this
my
attic
phone
was
should have
right out of
started
a
talking.
horror movie. I mean, it looked like, we had Christmas stuff up there, decorations, stuff like that, stuff for storage. But I was always scared to go up this attic, and it was like, this real narrow turned staircase that went up. Well, anyways, my brother locked me in there. He thought it was funny. He did that to me several times. Well, one night, me and him, we shared the same bedroom, and he was playing with the floor, creaking it. Well, all of a sudden, we heard footsteps in the attic, and he got scared. We both put our heads under the cover. Next thing you know, the door handle, those old glass doorknobs on the handles, on the doors, that thing turned and opened the door, came in and closed the door, and we seen it, me and him both. Now, we didn't see the entity, but you could feel it. You could always feel like someone was watching you within that house. But that was very scary. But one of the most interesting things that happened in that house is me and my mom, and I was only little. She's since passed 7 years ago, but this was probably 1984, 85. But we were laying in bed, and we were both sleepy. We couldn't understand why. And we woke up, and our faces were flushed. And my mom called the gas company. Well, the gas company came, and the guy came over and asked why we weren't dead. The place had completely filled with carbon monoxide. We should have been dead, well, way over dead. And we were still alive. So there had to have been a presence over that house watching us, because there's no way, it just always felt so like you watched.
Wow, man. Talk about a call to give you the chills to end the show. Dude, Doc, I think to say that place had a presence is probably, to put it mildly, Scotty. Nace, what do you guys think?
Oh, man.
The door opening and closing and, well, something coming in, but nothing you can see, right?
But I have fond memories of it, too. It's not like something that was there to terrorize, but I have some of my fondest memories were of that house. And I had a deep connection to it. And even, I was a cancer survivor, too. So
Good on
I've
you,
seen
man.
a lot in my life.
Good on you. Listen, we're almost out of time, dude, but, that's an interesting side of things that we rarely kind of get into, the fact that, when you have these stories, people growing up in a house like that, still good memories, it outweighs the kind of the bad stuff, the paranormal, but, you wouldn't be the person you are today without having gone through that. So I tell you, dude, that was fantastic, and thank you so much for calling in. What a way to finish off the calls, man.
Thank you for the time, and it was great talking to you guys, and I thank you for listening to the story. I hope I contributed a little.
A little, dude. You were the You are the
Great.
perfect way to end a night of really good callers. All the calls were awesome. Let's face it, I don't think anyone can argue with that.
Yeah, everyone
Thank you.
Yeah.
brought some fantastic woo to the table. So thanks everyone.
This has been an amazing Freaky Friday. I want to thank everyone for being a part of this, whether you're listening at home, just taking it all in. The guys here with me just now, the people out there on tfrlive.com. Big shout to Chris Geo as well. And the people in the chat room at Twitch, at YouTube. It all comes together to make a night like that, especially when we open up the phones. And I think, guys, Nacy won't be complaining. I'm sure Scott won't, but I think we need to go to the phones more often. So we'll probably open up for the last hour next week as well. Thank you for tuning in. We are out of here. There we go. There we go. That was fantastic. I'll let you guys say your final thoughts. I'm just going to message Mr. Geo and let him know that the outro is playing good. The network is good to go. I will let him know right now. So you enjoy that, boys.
Yeah, it was fantastic. Like I said, once again, everybody out there that called in, sharing their experiences and all of that. It's awesome to hear. It's awesome to hear that there's other people out there who are dealing with the woo, the unexplainable, and the strange, and allows us to all sit and brainstorm and try and speculate on what could be going on, because that's really all you can do.
Some of us have no choice to do. Some of us have no other choice but to just sit and ponder it, huh, Scotty?
Exactly. That's what I was saying. We that's what makes it the unexplained. That's what makes it the paranormal, is because all you can really do is sit and speculate because it's unexplainable.
Indeed. Now we need to get out of here because me and Scott are big men children and we need to go and watch our wrestling.
Yes.
But I'll be back tomorrow. I'll be on KBS Extra with Stephen Cambion, Truth Seeker. We'll be getting into the state of ufology. My word. Wait to hear some of the stories this guy's got about some of the favourite characters out there. And he's got the documents to back it up, so we'll be doing that tomorrow. I'll also be asking him about his actual favourite stories, what ones he does think are very, very relevant, what ones he looks into. So that's going to be an interesting conversation. Keep your eyes on social media for that. I'll be on YouTube on the other channel, Kev Baker Show, live streaming on Sunday night. Keep your eyes open tomorrow on YouTube. The live link will appear there. I'll put the message out tomorrow to people as well. And we'll be doing a big long stream on Sunday. We'll take a look at Carmel, Maine, Rudolph the Tall White Alien. We'll take a look at some fun stuff, some woo stuff. We'll get crazy. We'll get mad. We'll do it for about 3 or 4 hours. So I hope you can all be there for that over on the KBS2 live streaming channel, where we have memberships as well. Yes.
I was to say, if I'm not doing anything on Sunday, I
up,
might
dude.
swoop in for a little bit of conversation.
No problemo, my man. You know where to hit me up. I'll see it.
Members Long Haul.
Yes, into the members lounge. But listen, that is AEW time. We're going to love you. We're going to leave you. We are out of here.